Okay, so you're looking for a bulletproof way to actually make money online this year, and you've landed on high ticket sales. The problem is a lot of the big names in the space, they maybe have 2 months of sales experience and they couldn't close a door if they tried. And these people, they decide they want to be internet marketers. They give you surface level advice. They flash nice watches, nice cars, they suck you in, and then they lead you down this rabbit hole where you're following a lot of outdated stuff that lacks nuance, and you fail because you don't have the real in-depth information that only someone that actually practices what they preach can give you. Okay, over the past 4 years, I've sold on 13 different offers. I've personally closed millions on the phone, and I've trained and placed hundreds of closers with online offers. And in this video, I'm gonna be giving you everything that you will need to build a wildly successful career in high ticket sales completely for free. Okay, high-level sales strategies from A to Z. How do you say hello to how do you collect payment? I'm gonna show you some of the strategies that we use to land the highest quality clients to get the highest possible commissions. And most importantly, I'm not just gonna show you how to earn 5, 10, or even 20 grand a month, but I'm gonna show you how to do this every month. And I'm gonna show you how you can actually build a long-term career, how you can grow and scale your commissions, and how, for some of you, you can take on more responsibility in this space so that you can actually build the kind of life that you want. All right, so many people, they're looking for the next ChatGPT side hustle. This isn't that, and if that's what you're looking for, leave the video right now. All right, what I'm gonna do over the next few hours is I'm gonna be breaking down the subtle nuances, okay, that I've worked for myself and worked for my team, and everything that I talk about, I'm gonna be sharing with you in PDF formats. This is all gonna be in the link down below. You're gonna get scripts, you're gonna get cheat sheets, frameworks, bonuses, you name it. I'm gonna add a bunch of stuff in there just so that you can take all of this, you can print it out, you can apply it, start working on this over the next few months, that you can start seeing results right away. All right, we got a long video ahead of us. What I want you to do is close all of your tabs, close your door, pull out a big ass piece of paper, maybe a couple pens, buckle up, and let's get to it. Okay, so how do you make your first $100,000 in high ticket sales? Stick around, this is gonna be a good one, all right? Listen, you've been around the block a few times. Definitely not your first time learning about making money online. And if you've tried and failed to make internet money in the past, it's not your fault. There's a lot of information out there and it can be really confusing. And most of the time, it's actually information overload. That's the biggest thing that's stopping you from hitting your goals. Okay, let me guess, you've tried at least one of the below, either building a dropshipping store or starting some type of an agency or trading crypto or stocks. And you realize the hard way that you don't have the necessary skills, at least not yet, to do these complex businesses. You probably don't have the money to fail and go through the trials for you to actually learn those skills and actually get good at them. And you probably don't have the time to trial and error your way through this, spending hours every day, making the same mistakes, and even spending years without seeing results. And if you've been concerned that you're gonna miss probably the best time in history to make money online, I can tell you this, I've definitely felt that feeling before too. And it's really hard seeing, all these people online. I used to see people and I would look at them and I'd be like, this guy is dumber than me. He's gone through less than me and somehow he's living the kind of life that I want. It's really frustrating seeing that kind of thing. And in this video, I wanna put those fears to rest, okay? So, first off, you gotta understand the first milestones you need to hit are really pretty simple. One, you need to become good at one single high income skill. If you've gotten good at anything in your life, whether it's sports, language, instrument, anything, you have the ability to get good at things. Okay, now we just have to get you good at something that's gonna pay you the kind of money that'll give you the life that you want. Okay, step two, you gotta find an opportunity. You gotta find a vehicle that you can attach that skill set to that'll let you make the kind of money that you want. And you need to be able to prove the concept to yourself doing this part-time, right? You don't have the luxury of just leaving your job and burning all the boats, at least not yet, right? So we gotta hit these milestones first. From there, once you've accomplished these things and you've gotten to a place where maybe you're doing 3, 4, 5, 6 grand a month on the side at least, now you're in a position where you can realistically leave your job. You can drop out of school. You can take these small risks. And what that's gonna do is open up your entire day where you can focus solely on this, where you can start scaling your income to 100 grand a year or more. Now you have options. Now you have flexibility and you have choices and you're not held back by some of the things that have held you back before. Most people don't realize how simple this actually is. Right, the thing is, you just need the one skill set, which is sales, combined with a solid high-ticket sales job to unlock the growth that's been in front of you this entire time. Let's do some really quick math. I almost failed math in school, but bear with me. Let's say you're working 20 hours a week, which most people can find, give or take 3 hours a day. You're taking at least 20 sales calls in that time. The typical close rate in this industry, selling on a decent offer, is 20% at the minimum. Closing 4 deals a week on an offer between 3 to 15 grand on a 10% commission. Let's be conservative, assuming the same previous numbers, right, on the low end of things, selling a $3,000 product, closing 20% of your deals, you're earning $1,200 a week part-time. Here's the math when you get good. Bump that ticket size up to 8K, work a little bit more. Now you're looking at $4,800 a week, right? What's that in a month? Now I get it. This is you right now. You're thinking, what the hell is this guy talking about? You've probably seen a bunch of shit where people throw these numbers around like it's nothing. I get it. These are life-changing numbers. And for the rest of the video, I'm gonna be breaking down the subtle nuances that are gonna actually allow you to see these kinds of results. Over the past 4 years, we have built a system that has helped hundreds of closers go from no experience or very little experience to being full-time closers. In this video, I'm gonna show you step by step how you can replicate what we've done for ourselves and for our closers for yourself. Okay, my goal is to help 2 kinds of people with this course. For those who have no closing experience or sales experience at all, what I'll do is I'll show you how to train, how to develop the skill set so that you can then land a remote closing gig with a projected earnings of $100,000 a year or more. And for those with closing or sales experience, I'll show you how to attract the highest profile companies so you can create a lucrative career as a remote closer, right? Keyword career, right? A lot of people do this and they mess around with this. Bottom line, 10 grand a month, 1 month doesn't mean much, but 10 grand a month every month as your new minimum standard, that's something that will change the trajectory of your life. Okay, in the next couple hours, my goal is to really just give you a clear and actionable path, okay, on how to earn multiple 6 figures through high ticket sales, right? Not just some random strategies, but strategies that I have used personally over the past 4 or 5 years now, and strategies that have helped other people implement. So before we get into the specifics, you gotta understand a little bit of our history and what we've done. Over the past few years, I have had the absolutely amazing opportunity to be a leader in one of the largest high-ticket sales agencies in the world. We have worked with hundreds of closers, we've built sales teams for dozens of coaches, and we've done a total of multiple 8 figures in high-ticket sales, approaching 40 million now. What was even more amazing was seeing the impact that the world of sales could have on so many people coming from so many different walks of life. You know, what it will do, not just to your income, because that's the thing that will motivate you to start, but to your confidence, to the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the depth of the relationships that you have with your family, the people around you. You know, it's really an incredible thing, but it wasn't always this way. I come from an immigrant family. I was raised on the idea of getting into crippling debt to fund a job that would make me miserable for the rest of my life so that I could retire when I'm 60. And, you know, growing up, I saw my parents wake up every day at 5 a.m. To work a job that they told me repeatedly that they didn't enjoy. You know, I would constantly hear the words, we can't afford that, right? We can't take a vacation. You can't get the new PS4. You can't get the new video game. You can't do this, can't do that. We can't afford it. You know, I would think, like, what's all this hard work for? You know, like, why would you put yourself through so much, you know, struggle and pain if you can't even do the things that you want to do with it? You know, like back in the day, I used to have like a small kidney issue. I used to go to the hospital a lot. It's all good now, but I would go with my mom to her work a lot of the times, and you know, I would see this gray office, cubicles lined up with overweight people who looked like they were in a sad place in their life. I remember I was like 12, 13 years old at the time. I remember having conversations with my mom's boss and just thinking, this guy's a piece of shit. Like, I don't like this person. You know, I remember really early on in my life, like making a decision that I would never allow myself to work a job like this. I couldn't let this be my reality. But you know, when it was about that time to like really choose my path and my direction in life, like most people, like I was totally lost with what direction to go. So, following what my parents, society, and what the people around me expected of me, I just went to a business school because it's, hey, I want to make money, let me go learn business. The thing was, like, even through high school and just everything, like I was always the kid that would do the absolute minimum in school. I was always told that I was lazy and I didn't care. And honestly, like I identified with those labels. Like I was like, yeah, like fuck this, like I don't really care. I was in school and I saw my peers like they would compete on who could kiss the most ass to land $30,000 a year internships. And, saw that. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, how is this real? Like, how is this a thing? And I realized I was on a direct path to life that I did not want. The problem was there was this massive misalignment between this potential that I always felt I had and like the reality that I was actually living. I wanted freedom. I wanted to be independent, the ability to call my own shots and stop waking up every day doing something that made me feel miserable. I wanted to prove to myself that I could drop out and that I could start living the life that I wanted. So I tried everything. On the side, I would, be in my dorm room all the time. I started a drop shipping store, shipping these $10 smartwatches from China that completely crashed and burned. My ad account, spending money on ads, nothing converted. I had no idea what I was doing. I tried flipping shoes. I would, run a software to, get these hype releases. I used to camp outside in downtown Toronto in the middle of the winter to, get these shoes. I was never able to scale it, never able to make anything substantial. Even, crypto, complete nightmares, didn't work. Make some money, lose some money. And, I bounced around between these quote unquote simple and low cost side hustles. And I literally spent my entire life savings at the time, probably had about 10 grand saved up from all the work and jobs that I had, spent all of it, and I saw no return. The thing is, contrary to how a lot of these things are promoted, I realized the hard way that these businesses were extremely complex. In reality, you need tens of thousands of dollars just to stand a chance. And after spending everything, I was left with about $500 for another 8 months of school, living in a city far away from home, too embarrassed to ask for help. I was skipping meals. I was living on ramen noodles. I'm 6'1". Back then, I was like 120, 130 pounds because I literally could not afford to eat more. I really felt I was at a dead end. I remember around November of 2019, I saw a Snapchat story that changed everything for me. A good friend of mine, a connection, Dylan from school, he put up a story kind of similar to this image that you're seeing right here. This is the ChatGPT generated version, but Dylan was handing one of his closers this little Gucci sunglass pouch. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like those little Gucci sunglasses pouches. It was filled up with probably like $7,000, $8,000 cash. And he was handing it to a guy. And on the story, it said, "I'm hiring closers. DM me if you're interested." And I did door-to-door sales with Dylan growing up in school. I always had that connection with him. So, being at the point I was at, I was like, holy shit, like, I can do that. I've done some sales before. Like, let me see what this is all about. When I found out more, I realized Dylan, he was earning a 15% commission selling $3,000 to $5,000 e-commerce coaching programs there was this guy online. He did a couple million running his own e-commerce businesses, and he was coaching people one-to-one. This was back when like the whole guru wave was really just starting, when you saw all these entrepreneurs popping up, and Dylan was taking advantage of it. Dylan was actually one of the very first high-ticket closers that was doing big numbers back then. And the thing is the business that Dylan was selling for was generating hundreds of new leads every day. The thing was, I remember when I heard about all this for the first time, I remember feeling kind of hesitant at first, just because, I was never really like the overly extroverted type. I always kept more to myself. I was always quieter in social situations, feeling anxious and awkward around strangers. And the last thing I wanted to do was call up a bunch of people who wanted nothing to do with me and just deal with rejection all day. But when I found out that these leads that Dylan was talking to, these were leads that were booking in. Like, they were asking to hear more about the coaching program. They knew there was a price tag and they wanted to be a part of it, right? When I found out I could take calls anywhere just using my phone anytime that I wanted, the big thing, honestly, was when I found out that I can make $500 on a 30-minute call. At the time, I'm barely making a couple $100 a month, grinding my ass off on all these side hustles, I remember vividly, like immediately, just $500 on a 30-minute call. I did the math. What happens if I close 2 or 3 of these a day? What happens if I do this full time? What happens if I really get good at my skill set and I really understand the science of closing? How much can I make every month? This is me. My mind was blown. You know, I'm on this path right now. I can spend another 3 years. Maybe I'll get a job after I graduate and I'll make 60 grand a year, and then I can kiss ass for 5 more years, and maybe I'll make over 100. Meanwhile, Dylan's doing that right now at like 18 years old. So anyways, we got started. Dylan and I, we turned a Wendy's and a Tim Hortons into our first sales office. We would be in this Tim Hortons every day, just calling up these leads, closing them, you know, making noise, annoying everybody. And we quickly grew. So over the next few months, even when I was back in school, I was working part-time. I was doing 3 hours a day. I was very serious about those 3 hours a day. Every opportunity that I can get from 6 to 9 p.m., I'd be on the phone, talking to leads, trying to close. And I was making a few $1,000s working part-time. That's when COVID actually hit. So COVID hit, this is when everything shut down, especially in Toronto. We were scaling hard between myself and Dylan. We were putting up big numbers for the client we were selling for. That's when we knew we were onto something. All the extra revenue and sales that we were generating were going straight back into the marketing. New leads were getting pumped out. We needed to have a bigger team. So we got the office. We hired about 10 new closers. And within 6 months of that, probably this was in summer of 2020, we had a full sales team, probably about 11 or 12 guys, on basically 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. schedules backed up. This is what everyone's calendars looked like. You know, some people might see this and might think, oh, that's a lot of work. Honestly, I look back at these months and it was awesome. Everybody was hustling. We were talking to people. We were making great money. We were doing it side by side with each other, having fun, cracking jokes, making great money, and actually helping people too. You know, like at this time, this is when, you know, I already had a few deals, people who had been in the program for, you know, a few months, and they were already starting to see really cool results. And I'm getting texts of people saying, hey, I've made this much, I've done this, I've done that with my business. Thank you for helping me get started. This is when I dropped out of school. This is a really cool screenshot that I found recently, August 11th at 2 a.m., to-do list, find my wallet, and drop out of school because my dumbass was losing my wallet every freaking week. But that's when I, you know, sent in my emails. I got out of there, and that's when shit got real. I really was starting to feel like I had it figured out. You know, I was doing like between 8 to 12 grand a month at the time, working with my best friends, having fun, having a positive impact on people. It really felt amazing. But that's when, in October of 2020, our client, the e-commerce coach, he had his ad account completely shut down. Right, he was spending a shit ton of money on marketing, and Facebook just pause the ads, all of a sudden, everything goes to zero. Just like that, the calendar went dry. No leads coming in, sales dropped from millions a month to zero. And most of the closers on our team left. They either went back to school or they got other jobs. Here's just a picture of a sales training we did. At this time, October 2020, everything is dry for a few weeks, right? I'm over here, I just dropped out of school, you know, disappointed my parents, cut off a lot of my friends. And the thing that I thought was going to work out for me finally had just completely stopped. You know, there's a lot of doubts going through our mind at the time. And the question that we kept coming back to was, how can we take this brand new concept of online closing, of doing sales for these online entrepreneurs, how can we take this thing and turn it into a real sustainable career opportunity? Like, how can we put the closers first to set them up for a long-term career? The thing was, at the time, especially through COVID, like we saw this massive wave of online education and these coaches getting online and teaching real estate, e-commerce, fitness, mindset, you name it. We saw this, and the only way to capitalize it was with these three things. We needed a consistent stream of high quality offers, plural, different coaches that we could sell for at any given time. We needed plug and play sales training. We needed the ability to take someone who's coachable, plug them into our system, get them trained up, and get them up to KPI quickly. And most importantly, we needed big picture career development for our guys. That's when we started our sales agency. Okay, so what we did was we started building sales teams for all of these coaches where they might be great at real estate or e-com or whatever. They wanted nothing to do with their sales. They would just outsource it to us and we would take care of it. So through 2021, we grew exponentially. We started to build up a name in the industry. A lot of people knew who we were because of the results we were bringing in. We were launching new offers every month, hiring dozens of closers in person and remote. And At the time, my partner Dylan, he was responsible for bringing on new clients. He was doing a lot of consulting on the marketing side of things, on the offer side of things to make sure, the businesses ran smoothly. Rome, Amon, and I, we were responsible for hiring, training, and managing all the salespeople across all these different offers. So from 2020 to the present, we managed remote sales teams for 23 different offers, closing with hundreds of other closers. And as our reputation grew, so did the quality of our clients. This meant higher expectations when it came to sales production. The offers we were working with were scaling like crazy, usually spending upwards of $100,000 a month to generate new leads. And we had this constant need for new sales talent, right? It's this constant upward spiral, which is really cool, but really complex. And out of necessity, we had to create a closing strategy that anyone could step in, replicate to produce huge commissions selling across any online sales niche. Right? And most importantly, we had to define a clear step-by-step career path for closers to build long-term careers with big upside. During that time, we were able to successfully develop a repeatable system, a system that would take regular people who would step in, who would train hard, who would close hard, into high-performing, full-time, high-ticket closers. This is the exact system that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Okay, now what I want to do is give you the 4 stages that we discovered that allowed us to help salespeople not just learn sales, not just find a placement, and not just make their first 10 grand, but how these 4 stages helped people actually earn 6-figure commissions year after year after year working remote. Okay, and most importantly, I'm going to show you exactly how to execute these stages so that you yourself can produce amazing results with them. Here are the 4 stages we're going to be covering for the rest of this video. Number 1 is sales training. Okay, this is the key to everything. This is the foundation to your career. You need to have a high-level skill set in sales. A lot of people just neglect this. A lot of people say, just go find a closing job and you'll figure it out. No, okay? First, you're going to start with high-level sales training so that you're prepared for any possible situation that might happen on the phones before you start closing. And I'm going to show you how to implement all of this in just a few months. Okay, from there, getting a closing job, all right? There's so much information out there. There's so many different ways to go about this. I'm going to be sharing with you the different strategies that you can use so that you don't just find a job, but you find a career where you can connect yourself to a lucrative business owner to make serious commissions long term. I'm going to show you how to scale your commissions, right? So that you're not just sticking around at 5 or 10 grand a month, but I'm going to show you the actionable steps that you can do to literally force your commission to go way up and increase your close rate. And most importantly, I want to talk a lot about career development. I think everybody in this whole online space, everyone's looking for a side hustle. If you're looking for like the next ChatGPT like prompt that you can use to get rich, like this video isn't for you. I want to talk to the people who really want to build something amazing, for the people who want to do this for a long time, because those are the people that are actually going to see the biggest results. Sales training. Okay, why we sales train? Why do we train sales? Why is it important? What are we actually training? What are the skill sets, the concepts, the strategies that you're going to have to get comfortable with for you to be able to really do well in the space? And most importantly, how do you train? Okay, what steps can you take so that you don't take 6 months or a year to learn all of this, but you can actually download these skill sets into your brain in a short period of time. All right, let's dive in. First off, big picture, okay? The way that you're gonna be able to crush it in high ticket sales is by selling for a really good offer, okay? You can't sell for like Joe Schmo Forex. Okay, some random scam course, like they will hire anybody with a pulse to close for them. That's not the company that you want. You're looking for the ones with the big brand, with the hot leads, the big trust, so that you can, jump on, take a sales call. The person already likes you, they already want to work with you, and you just got to qualify them a little bit, let them know that your price tag is 10, 25 grand or whatever it is, and collect your commission. Okay, that's really where you want to be. So the choice is yours, okay? You can either beg for sales jobs in the DMs and just get on your hands and knees and hope that someone will take you and, you can learn sales on the fly. Or you can become the kind of closer that these businesses pray for. Okay, these massive businesses that are doing millions of dollars a month, they're praying that they're gonna come across a closer that they can pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Like they want to pay you crazy amounts of money, but first you gotta learn the skills. Okay, why you need to take training seriously. If you want to find a remote closing job, like I just mentioned, with the warm inbound leads that are calling you, reaching out to you, asking to be pitched, okay, with the leads that you can close and make a $500, $1,000, a $2,000 commission on each call, And most importantly, the jobs where you're making a lot of money, but you're actually helping people see great results, that business expects you to be able to understand and most importantly, execute everything that I'm gonna be explaining in the next few slides. This is before they even take you on. Okay, so what we're gonna be going over. First of all, sales principles to live by. Okay, these are the big core concepts that you're gonna need to understand for you to be able to crush this. Second is gonna be the 10-step closing frameworks. This is the framework that we have used on all of our sales calls, literally since day one, across every sales niche that you can think of, business, fitness, B2C, B2B, you name it. We've used this 10-step framework with it. A buyer psychology, right? What actually influences people to move? What influences people to spend big money within just a quick conversation? What are the common prospects that you're gonna run into, right? In reality, depending on your offer, you might have 2 or 3 like main avatars that you speak to all day, every day. And I'm gonna show you how to actually approach them and how to perfect them. And most importantly, and finally, objection handling. How do you turn a no into a yes, right? How do you push people over the line and close the deal? And I'm also gonna show you afterwards how to train all of this so that it becomes second nature in less than 3 months of solid, straightforward training. Sales principles to live by. Why do people buy? Right? The very first lesson I learned about sales back in the day when I did door-to-door with Dylan, we were going out into the field and I was shadowing Dylan. And as we were just stepping out onto the street, Dylan looks back and he asked me, he's like, hey, Misha, why do people buy? I'm like, I don't know. We were selling window cleaning. I was like, I don't know, because they have dirty windows. It's because they like you, they want to be like you, or they are like you. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm selling window cleaning. Like, why does that even matter? They either need the window cleaning or they don't, but I was so wrong. Bottom line, it's not a matter if their windows are clean or not. It comes down to who you are and how you act, okay? People buy you, not your product. Emotion versus logic, okay? Every single buying decision that someone will ever make comes down to emotion. It's never gonna be a logical decision, all right? You wanna sell the vacation rather than the flight. Okay, if you're talking to someone about this amazing vacation, you're in North America and you're trying to go down to Australia, you're not going to say, hey man, we're going to have a freaking 18-hour flight. You're going to tell them, hey, Australia is amazing. There's kangaroos, there's this, there's that. You're going to talk about how it's going to feel when you make it out there, what it's going to be like, what you're going to do, what you're going to experience. You're not going to focus as much on the actual journey to getting there, right? And I'm going to explain this a little bit more later on. And most importantly, question-based selling, right? Nobody wants to be sold. Nobody wants to be told what to do. People want to feel like they're in control. People want to come to their own conclusions. If you're able to ask your prospect the right questions, you're going to be able to guide them to the conclusion that you want them to come to. First things first, being the opposite of a salesperson. Have you ever walked into a Foot Locker and someone comes up to you right away, big smile on their face, hey, anything that you're looking for? And you're like, no, I'm just looking around. Thanks, right? It's like your instant reaction is telling them to leave you alone, where it's like, especially, I can't really speak for women, but most men, at least for myself, when I go shopping, I'm in there for a reason. I'm not in there just, looking around at things. Like I'm coming in, I want something, right? But why are people so defensive when it comes to salespeople? It's just a natural instinct that people have. So you want to be the opposite of what you think a quote unquote salesperson is, right? People like authenticity, right? People like imperfection. There's a lot more trust in that. If you're like uptight and smiling, 100% of the time, and you're, going through this rock solid script and, it's exactly the same every time, like people sense that and naturally they're going to push away from you. They're going to be defensive around you. And that's the same reason why sales scripts don't work, because you have the exact same conversation with every single person that you speak to over and over and over again. Every prospect that you speak to is going to be unique. So you need to have a unique conversation with them. And in my opinion, it's a lot easier to just be yourself, just be authentic on a call than it is to, read through some pre-planned conversation that's written down on a piece of paper. That's why we created a plug-and-play closing framework. This could be used by anybody with any personality type, introvert, extrovert, whether you're more fun or you're more serious, whatever it is. This framework is going to show you key stages that you can lead your prospect through to influence them to take action, no matter what you're selling and no matter how you go about using the framework. Okay, we call it the 10-step closing framework. So let's dive in. What this framework is going to do, it's going to help you navigate a sales call in a very casual and consultative way. This is going to be done by asking your prospect key questions that guide them to come to the conclusion that they need to take action now. And this is done using zero sales pressure tactics, being 100% authentic, and closing on the very first call. This is the exact same framework, by the way, that Sham, Zach, and Ben, some of our closers on our team, used to close above a 50% rate. So you see on the left-hand side, this was 1 month from Ben and Sham, 62% close rate, 51% close rate. And you see on the right-hand side, this is a calendar. All those green events, those are closed deals at 5K each on that calendar. Also the same framework DJ and Tony applied to their current sales roles to boost their close rate immediately. Tony went from 15 to 20 grand a month using this, and this was within like less than a month of him using our stuff. And DJ has been in corporate sales for probably about 10, 15 years now. Within just a few months of working with us, doubled his close rate, working in a completely different industry. Okay, but use this with caution. We had a fitness coach use this stuff, and all of a sudden he had his clients telling them that, hey, like because I'm fat, my sex life is worse. Probably a really good pain point to have, but be careful with it. Sometimes it gets too powerful. So let's dive in. Step number 1 is your introduction. Okay, you can't give a first impression twice. You got to start out the call the right way. So you're going to hit who, where, and why. Right? You're going to let your prospect know who you are, where you're calling from, and why you're calling. For example, hey Bob, it's Misha calling with XYZ company. How you doing? Okay, you're going to use this as an opportunity to break the ice. You want to have high energy here, and you want to break the sales tension. That's really the key with all this. Some people, they might show up with their guard up. You're going to say, hey, how are you? They're like, I'm pretty good. How are you? Man, I'm amazing. Just wrapped up some lunch. They were serving coleslaw today, and there was raisins in it, man. It kind of bummed me out. But aside from that, I'm doing awesome. How's everything in your world? Like I might say something stupid like that just to catch them off guard and just to show them I'm a human being. After you've hit your intro, you've broken the tension, you let them know who you are and why you're calling, hit the agenda, okay? What this is gonna do is set clear expectations for your call. It's gonna allow you to take control of the conversation, and it's also gonna establish that you're here to help your prospect find a solution, right? So an example of this would be, hey Matt, what I'd like to do here on this call is really just ask you a few questions just to see if and also how I can help you out. And if I feel like I can, I'll show you how. If not, no hard feelings either way. I'll do my best to point you in the right direction. Listen to my tone. Okay, now we're moving into situational. Okay, this is a really key step of the call. You're collecting a lot of information here. So right off the rip, you're going to have your prospect just explain a little bit about themselves. Hey, why don't you just start us out, give me some background, and we'll take it from there. Right? What your prospect is going to do, if you ask that first question, you're going to start broad, you're going to go specific. Hey, tell me a bit about yourself, what you got going on. Right? Your prospect's going to tell you their work, their school, their business, and their overall situation. And the cool thing that's going to happen is because of the nature of the sales process, your prospect, they're already coming in looking for a solution. Right? They already know what their problems are. They're going to give you hints at what their pain points are. Okay, so that brings me into my next point. What is a pain point? This is a problem that your prospect is going to spend money to solve. Very simple. There's 2 kinds of pain points. There's surface level pain points, and then there's juicy pain points. So for example, prospect tells you, yeah, so I'm working this corporate job right now. I'm an accountant, been doing this for the past 10 years. Honestly, I'm getting kind of burnt out. Like I'm not loving it as much as I used to, and I'd love to spend more time with my kids. All right, we got a little bit of information. We found out that he's burnt out. Maybe he's not loving what he's doing anymore, and he wants more time with his kids. We want to go deeper than that, okay? So this is where you got to dig deeper. This is where you got to be good at asking questions. Hey, you said you're feeling burnt out and you want more time with your kids. Can you tell me a little bit more? Right? Wow, how long have you been feeling that way for? How's that been on you? Right? Questions like that, just really short little jabs, it's going to give your prospect permission just to open up and really tell you what's on their mind and what their biggest problems are. Okay? And what this is going to do, most importantly, this is going to guide your prospect into an emotional state. Right? If you think about why do people take massive action? Like if you think about someone who's been addicted to smoking cigarettes their entire life, a lot of the time it really sucks, but sometimes it'll be like a heart attack or a major health scare that will get someone to move. They'll be like, you know what? I'm never touching a cigarette again in my life. It's because there's pain. It's because there's a lot of emotions in that. So we're not going that extreme on this call. But it's the same concept where, I want my prospect to start telling me about their problems. I want them to start explaining them to me, because what's going to happen there is they're going to enter an emotional state where they start feeling their pain. Right now, we can work them towards a solution, and there's going to be a higher likelihood that they take action at the end of the call. Okay, step number 4, vision. All right, you figured out where they're at, what's going on in their life, what their problems are, what their pain points are. You've gotten them into a bit of an emotional state. Now, what's the goal? What's the dream outcome? Okay, you want to go from general to specific. For example, okay, so in this case, accountant wants more time with his kids, he's burnt out. Right, hey, so walk me through what you're thinking here with this new business you're looking to start. What's the goal? What I'd like to do is to replace my income. Okay, gotcha. And so how would you do it? Would you start part-time and then eventually transition into full-time? Yeah, I guess I'd want to do something like that. I'd like to make X amount first, really see that I can do it, and then from there move forward. Okay, and how much would you need to be making for you to feel confident that you can actually leave that 9 to 5 you've been working and still be able to support your family? Well, now I'm getting my prospect to think about it. I'm going from general to specific. I'm getting them to start visualizing their goals and the steps that they're going to have to take. Not only that, but I'm going to ask them, hey, and just out of curiosity, man, I know you've been in accounting for the past 10 years. How would that feel? Quitting your job and knowing that you could do whatever you want the next day without anyone telling you different. What would that be like? Man, it would be amazing. It would do this, it would do that. Awesome. Okay, what you're doing here is you're selling the dream. Don't get it twisted. A lot of people use this phrase and they say, oh, he's just selling a dream. Everybody's been sold a dream. I've been sold a dream. You've been sold a dream. A lot of people are sold the dream of going to school, getting into 6 figures in debt to work a job where they get paid 40 grand a year for the rest of their life. That's a dream, right? Which dream would you rather believe in? Okay, if your prospect tells you, hey, my lifelong goal has been to build a business that I can pass down to my kids, that's what we're going to sell our prospect on. Okay, this is the end state that our prospect wants to get to. This is the vacation. At the end of the call, we're going to be selling them the flight, the solution to actually get them to that dream outcome. All right, step number 5, challenge. Now that you understand where they are, where they want to be, what's been stopping them? This goal is so important to them. What's been in their way? Okay, you need to uncover the challenges that they've faced, right? So focus on the change, not on your opportunity. For example, if you're doing a e-commerce program, right? You're not going to say, hey, what's been stopping you from getting into e-com? Because now they're going to say, oh, well, I'm just now learning about it. I saw your ad last week, right? You're not selling e-commerce. You're selling the change, right? So I'm going to ask my prospect, hey, so what's been stopping you from starting a business on the side? What's been stopping you from finding something that you can use to replace your income, right? Now it's going to be bigger, broader, juicier. It might be, hey, I just haven't had the time. I just don't have the information. I see so much crap online. I don't know who to trust. There's so much information out there. I don't have money just to spend on something that isn't going to work out. I'm afraid of the risk. I have limiting beliefs. There could be a lot of different things that are in their way, right? Here's a pro tip. Before you ask that challenge question, start it out with a timeline, right? So think about the context. They just told you about their goals. They've explained them. They've visualized them. I'm going to ask your prospect, hey, so how long have you actually been thinking of making this change for? Oh, it's been about 3 years that it's been on my mind. Wow, and in those 3 years, what's been stopping you from doing something about it? You see how much more powerful that is when you just set it up with a timeline? Ninja tip, try it out. What this is going to do also is going to prevent objections, right? So if there's a limiting belief issue, if there's a money issue, if there's a time issue, if there's any type of issue that's been stopping them already, chances are it's going to continue to stop them unless you solve it. When you can solve challenges before you even present your program, what you're doing is you're preventing objections, and it's going to be a lot easier to do it here because there's no price on the line. So keep that in mind. Step number 6, consequential. This is a quick one. This is going to build urgency in your prospect. What you're going to do is you're going to get your prospect to think about the consequences of not taking action. So you're going to ask them, hey, just out of curiosity, what happens if you don't make this change? What happens if you aren't able to figure out how to invest in real estate? Or what happens if you don't find a solution to, get in the gym and get your weight down, right? They're going to talk about the consequences, right? And you're going to ask them, hey, is that something that you're okay with? This is going to build urgency. Okay, the way that other salespeople do it, and the reason why they're broke, is they'll say, hey, Mr. Prospect, if you don't get in the gym, you're gonna be fat and depressed for the rest of your life, right? I'm not gonna tell my prospect that. I'm gonna get them to say it themselves. I'm gonna ask them, hey, what happens if you never get in the gym? Hey, well, I'll probably be fat and have a terrible quality of life. Is that something you're okay with? No, not at all. It comes from them, not from me. Question-based selling, all right? Let people come to their own conclusions. Now, step number 7, we're gonna show our prospect the gap. Okay, sales 101, sales is a gap. It is the difference between where your prospect is, where they wanna be, the challenge that's in their way, and then the solution that's gonna get them to where they're trying to get to. Okay, that is what's known as the gap in sales. Through situation, through vision, through challenge, we've set up the gap. We understand what it is, right? Now you're just gonna recap it. This is gonna show a really high level of understanding. It's gonna show your prospect that you're someone that they can lean on. It's gonna show them you're an expert, that you've been listening, that you're empathetic to their situation. What you're gonna do is basically take the entire 10-minute conversation you just had, throw it right back at them in your own words. All right, so hey, if I'm understanding correctly, Mr. Prospect, you're running this marketing agency and you just got started about 6 months ago. You've kind of crossed that first plateau of bringing in your first 10 grand a month, but the problem is the goal is to get to 100 grand a month. And like you realize that the next step to get there, you're gonna need to develop an automated outreach strategy to bring in new clients. But you haven't been able to do that just because you've been so caught up with fulfillment. And it seems like that right there, just having that strategy, something that could bring in new clients for you, it seems like that's the only thing that's really stopping you from taking this thing to 100 grand a month. Am I understanding correctly? Now they're gonna be like, holy fuck. Like, yes, exactly. Wow, this guy's an expert, this guy gets it, this guy knows what's up, and he probably has a solution for me, right? Another example with fitness, right? Hey, so if I'm understanding correctly, I mean, you used to be an athlete, but it seems like, especially when you got into work and, life caught up, you had kids, you kind of neglected your health, and all of a sudden, years go by, you got another 100 pounds on your belly, and now you're at a point where you want to make a change, but it's, just the fact that you work so much, like you don't have a straightforward system that you can follow for you to be able to cut the weight, right? Something like this. Really understand your prospect situation, repeat it back to them. This is gonna blow their mind. That's what you want. You want them to say, oh my God, yes, exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's the response you want. If you're not getting that, improve this stage. Now, gaining commitment. Okay, this is something you're doing throughout the call. But especially right here in this section of the call. So the acronym that we use is RAW, ready, able, and willing. Okay, are they ready to take action? Are they able to? Do they have the means to actually move in terms of time or money? And are they willing? Like, do they want to do it? So you're gonna be gauging this commitment level throughout the call. Okay, the less commitment that they have, you're gonna be gaining more. Asking more questions. Hey, are you willing to put in the work? Are you really at a point in your life where you're ready to make this change? If I showed you a way that you can accomplish what you want, can I count on you to follow through on it? Hey, I know you mentioned things were kind of tight before. Are you at a place where you're willing to set aside a bit of a budget so you can make sure this business works? Questions like that, right? This is gonna be different depending on your offer, but you wanna be gaining commitments. So what's this going to do too, right? If a prospect tells you, hey, I want to, scale my real estate portfolio to, 5 properties in the next 2 years, right? But I don't have any funding of my own, so I'm going to find all the money myself. You got to set expectations here, right? Everyone else is going to tell your prospect, hey, it's going to be easy, no problem. No worries, buy my course and I'll show you how to go source, $10 million so you can buy 5 properties, easy. Be the person that's different. Be the person that tells your prospect, hey, I'll show you how to do it. But I just want you to know, like, these are big goals. And we've had other people do it before, but this is what it's gonna take. Like, are you actually willing to do that right now? Right? Sometimes I'll just ask way harder commitments on purpose. Just because, again, like if I'm gonna pitch them a $25,000 price tag at the end of the call, like commitment needs to be super high. Like if they're not willing to sacrifice and put in a bunch of work, depending on the offer, obviously, but like if they're not willing to go through a little bit of pain, they're definitely not willing to spend that kind of money, right? So I'll gain really hard commitments, especially when they have bigger goals and especially when the ticket size is gonna be higher. Higher level of commitment always equals a higher percentage that you're gonna close the deal. All right, now, you've gained commitment, you've established the gap, you found all the pain points, you've built trust, you're on the same page. Before you present, ask yourself, what's easier than selling somebody something? It's getting them to sell themselves on it. Okay, so that's what you're going to do right here. You're going to ask your prospect, hey, from everything you've told me, like, what exactly do you feel like you'd need from the perfect support system for you to be able to hit your goals? From the ideal perfect system, what would that look like for you? What kind of a learner are you? How would you want to be supported with this? How can we put you in a position where you can see success? Right now, what's going to happen is your prospect is going to let you know exactly what they want to see. They're going to let you know what's important to them. Hey, I want to feel valued in the community. I want direct access to someone that can answer my questions whenever I have them. You know, I can't afford to go through trial and error. I need a clear-cut, actionable solution, right? I want to network with other people who are in this industry, right? There's so many different like little things that are going to be important to every prospect you speak to. Ask them what's important to them, note it down on your piece of paper, and you're going to tailor your presentation to exactly what they want in just a second. Okay, this is also going to frame your presentation, right? So like you're not going to start presenting, it's not going to feel salesy. It's going to feel like their idea because they're telling you what they want, right? You'll say, okay, and like, if you felt like you had all of that, are you confident that you'd be able to get to your goal? And they're like, yes, absolutely. Okay, cool. Well, from what you told me, what we do actually pretty closely aligns with that. Would you like to hear a little bit more about how it works? Right, and it's like such a nice transition into your presentation if you just kind of take it slow right there, do it exactly like that. All right, now your presentation, okay? This should really be no more than 2 to 4 minutes. Even like I've sold stuff that's 25, 50, 100 grand, and like these presentations are even shorter, you know? You wanna focus on the things that are important. So first of all, only present when your prospect is ready to buy, when you get the sense that, okay, this guy's good to go. If you don't have that sense, go back, gain more commitments, ask more questions, figure out what's on their mind before you present. Now, when you get into your presentation, you're gonna keep it super simple. You're gonna follow a value stack where if your program has 3 different deliverables, maybe it's group coaching, you get a private WhatsApp chat, and you get a community, for example, you're gonna hit it one by one. You're gonna go deliverable and benefit, right? So the deliverable is like the actual thing that they're getting, group calls, or you get a WhatsApp group, and the benefit is what your prospect gains from that deliverable. So for example, hey, Mr. Prospect, so the first thing you're gonna be getting access to 3 days a week, every single week, we run group trainings with our team. That's the deliverable. The reason why we do these calls is because we want to be talking to you throughout the week so that we can guide you step by step through the different phases of your business. What we do on these calls is we're going to be actually sharing like client wins and case studies that we're using right now in our programs, things that are working for our guys on the inside. And we're going to be sharing them with everybody so that you can literally just replicate the things that are already working, cut out the trial and error, and most importantly, have a resource where you can ask specific questions that are going to be tailored to your situation. That way, if you show up for all the calls, it's pretty hard to mess this up. Does that make sense? Great. Next thing that you're going to be getting access to is a private WhatsApp chat. Okay, in this chat, the thing is you're going to have a bunch of little questions, right? Minor things that you need to get answered right away. We want to be connected with you directly just so that you're confident every step of the way through this. So it's going to be myself and a couple others in a private group with you there to support you at all times. All right, think about it like that, where you go deliverable, benefit. The benefits is going to be whatever your prospect felt was valuable in self-solution selling. They tell you, hey, I want to be really connected with my coach. Cool. You're going to really emphasize that WhatsApp group and the additional confidence that your prospect is going to feel by being in that group. Okay? You're literally just going to give them what they want. Get good at understanding what your prospect benefits from the different deliverables that you're selling. Now, once you've done that, you've hit deliverable, deliverable, deliverable. You let them know what it's all about and what it's going to do for them. You're going to tell them, you're going to price drop just like this. Hey, Mr. Prospect, when it comes to investment, there's no hidden fees. There's no crazy monthly subscriptions. It's just going to be a one-time investment of $10,000, a one-time investment of $25,000, a one-time investment of $3,000, right? You want to practice this price drop. I feel like when I was first getting into sales, like I used to almost like stutter, especially with these bigger numbers. Hit that thing confidently. I used to practice that price drop in the mirror. I used to say that price drop before my sales day. You want to get that thing down, right? Drop it with confidence, let the silence hold. That's going to be the 10-step framework, all right? That's how you go from the hey, hello to letting your prospect know how much your stuff costs. The thing is, every sales conversation will be unique. What I just shared with you is a framework that you can work within, okay, steps that you can follow, that you can do, for the most part, whatever you want with, right? And the reason why we haven't set it up that way is because there's different types of buyers that you're going to speak to who think a little bit differently, who have a different thought process, and you need to be able to adjust to these prospects, right? Listen, you can get away with just going through the 10 steps and having the same cookie cutter conversation, right? But for those of you who really want to be a top performer and who want to take this to the next level, you have to be able to read and analyze people, understand how they think, and adjust your approach to that person. Okay, so you're going to identify what type of buyer that they are, and you're going to tailor everything to that. And we're going to be getting into each type of buyer here shortly. First off, the psychology. These are the elements that are going through your prospect's brain. One is pace. Your prospect is either fast-paced or slow-paced, okay? The other is direction. Your prospect is either moving away from pain or they're moving towards more pleasure, all right? Buyer psychology, all right, direction. Think, what is the more dominant force here? Is it moving away from pain or is it moving towards pleasure? Everyone feels both of these things, but what's the more powerful one? Now, with the move away buyers, these people are moving away from pain. All right, something Tony Robbins once said, which I think is a really good quote. A healthy person, they want 1,000 things. A sick person only wants one thing. Okay, someone who's in a really hard position, they've got this burden on them, all they want is just to remove that burden. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna dig deeper into your prospect situation to really uncover what these pains are, and you're gonna let your prospect sit and feel those emotions so that they're geared to take action. And vice versa, with a move towards buyers, someone who's motivated by what they're working towards, someone who's more ambitious, they're willing to take on challenges, they wanna move forward in their life. Okay, you're gonna ask them questions like, hey, like, what would that business do for you? Like, how would that really change things for you? What would that feel like? You know, how would that, unlock new levels in your career? Like you wanna have more of a conversation geared towards what is the dominant motivator. Now, when it comes to pace, so you can have a move away, move towards buyer. It could be fast paced or slow paced, right? These things are interchangeable. Your prospect buys the change that they experience as a result of buying your product. Okay, so what you want to think about as you're having a conversation, has your prospect already decided to make a change? Or are they still kind of hesitant? Are they still like a little bit skeptical? They have some belief issues or whatever, right? Pace is the speed at which your prospect is moving towards that change. All right, so a fast-paced buyer, they know what they want, they're gonna jump on, they're ready to take action. The key with this is don't slow them down. If someone jumps on and they're like, hey, listen, this is what's going on in my life, this is my goal, these are my problems, this is what I need from you, this is what I'm thinking. That's a fast-paced buyer. You're not gonna ask them 100 questions and get into this long-winded conversation because you're gonna piss them off and you're gonna annoy them. Be efficient, keep authority, and keep control, all right? Don't let them walk all over you, but move through the conversation a bit quicker. Slow-paced buyer. So this prospect has a vague idea of what they want, but they're hesitant to take action, okay? Identify whatever belief that they have that's holding them back. If it's like, I don't know anyone who's done this before, I don't believe in myself, like figure out whatever their limiting belief is, and what you're gonna do is gain stronger commitments to then raise that belief. So you'll take a bit more time with this buyer. You gotta get comfortable with the flow, talking to them, making them feel comfortable and building trust. Now, common prospect avatars. Okay, so these are the most common types of people that you're gonna see on your sales calls. These are the prospects that you wanna set up your role plays with, right? So as you're training, you're gonna be practicing each and every one of these. That way, before you even start on the phones, you've already practiced it. You already know what you need to do. Okay, so you might speak to someone who's stuck in the rat race, right? Someone who's working a 9-to-5 job, they've been there for a few years, they're kind of stuck in their ways, but they want a little bit more. Right, this is pretty common with like business opportunity offers, like make money offers with some sort of a business or an investment thing, something like that, right? So keep in mind this type of prospect, they might make 80 grand a year. They're pretty comfortable, but they want more. There's something about them that's unfulfilled. They do the same exact thing every day. They're not excited. They don't really have freedom. A lot of the times the pain will be pretty deep, but it's not gonna be revealed easily. So you wanna set up these types of prospects in your role plays and really work on how can you dig deeper into that? How can you get them to reveal certain things they're going through? All right, and you're also gonna build urgency, you're gonna gain stronger commitments. Usually the biggest obstacle here is belief. The high ego business owner. Okay, this is one I had to practice a lot. And the moment I figured this one out, my commissions probably tripled. Okay, these are the types of people, they're gonna jump on the call. It's some type of a business owner, someone who's successful, they've got money in the bank, they're a quick decision maker, but they're gonna battle for control. Like they're gonna test you. They're gonna see if you actually know what you're talking about, right? So what you need to do is you need to be an expert, okay? You might speak to someone who's worth 10 mil, but you have to be able to control that conversation because you're an expert when it comes to this particular thing. You gotta be able to stroke the ego, right? While also asking tactical questions to find pain, right? So for example, if we're talking to Elon Musk here, hey, Elon, I mean, man, like from what I'm seeing, like you've ran multiple multi-billion-dollar companies. You're the richest man in the world. What makes you want to go to Mars? Like, why is that so important to you after everything that you've accomplished, right? If Elon wasn't super forthright about why he wants to go to Mars, now he's going to justify it because I stroked his ego a little bit first. I'm like, man, like you've done all these things. You're so successful. Why do you want to go and do this new thing? Now he's going to tell me his real motivation. He'll be like, you know what? Like, yeah, I've done a lot, but really it's this fulfillment that I want to have. I want to change the world. I want to change the course of humanity. That's why I'm on this earth, and that's why I want to go to Mars. Okay, cool. Now we got a little bit of leverage. So when we're in objection handling at the end, we can use that, right? A lot of the times I see beginner salespeople will talk to someone who's crushed in a business or something, and they get intimidated, and they're afraid to ask questions like that, right? These people are straight shooters. Show them the money, show them what's up, calm, cool, collected, confident, close the deal, okay? And you're gonna get some big commissions out of these guys. This is something that Zach was struggling a lot with. So when he started, he was selling a B2B offer to business owners. And he was selling a 5K program at the time. First month, did about 60 grand in total sales. And this was the type of buyer that he was struggling with, right? We did some extra work with him on this type of buyer. And within just a couple months, he was able to go from 60 grand to over 200 grand in sales, right? So practice this thing, guys. Okay, so the young hustlers, you're gonna get guys who jump on the calls who are 19, 22, 24, 26, whatever. These people are gonna be a lot more optimistic, a lot more higher energy. They're gonna have a big vision. I love these kinds of prospects because I've been this person before, and I still am in a lot of ways. What you wanna do here is relate early, okay? Talk to them and say, hey, like I've been where you're at. Like everything that you're going through right now, like I've been there, and this is how I felt before. Okay, so you're gonna relate so you can get on the same page, but you wanna create altitude where you say, hey, I've been there before, but then I overcame it. And now I'm in a position where I've done X. That's gonna get them to look at you almost like a mentor figure. And now like you're gonna be able to tell them exactly what needs to happen for them to see the results that they wanna see. And they're gonna believe you, okay? So, tell stories, inspire the vision, show possibility, talk about case studies, client wins, talk about your personal wins, how you've made some of the changes that they're looking to make, and gain really hard commitments. Tell them, hey, you want to make $1 million by the time you're 30? You ready for that, man? I know a couple guys who have done that, and they spent years of their life working insane hours. Is that something you're willing to do? A lot of times I'll ask a question like, hey man, that's great. Like I love your ambition. Can I be really direct with you? I talk to a lot of people who want the same things as you, but it's not often that people's actions align with their goals. Do you, like when you say these numbers, like, are these just numbers you're throwing out, or are these numbers that you're serious about working towards? All right, like I might really challenge my prospect here because I think this is the advice that they need. And again, it's just gonna build a little bit more trust. Okay, paralysis analysis. You might talk to people who've been researching for years. There's so much information overload. There's so many people out there. They don't know what to do and they just do nothing. Okay, figure out what's the limiting belief. Are they afraid of losing money? Are they afraid of wasting time? Are they afraid of embarrassing themselves to their friends and family for failing with another business? What is it? Okay, figure out their pains and figure out like really the big levers that you could use to build urgency, whether that's regret, whether that's, pain, that's, it could be a lot of things, right? Again, gain hard commitments to taking action. Hey, I get it. I've been where you're at before. If I could show you a way, okay, no nonsense, a path that you can get from where you're at now to where you're trying to get to. Are you at a place, Mr. Prospect, where you're ready to move? Okay, don't overthink this. They booked a call with you. People who schedule calls with you, they're crying out for help. Keep in mind, like they could be skeptical, and we'll get into that, but they can, be stuck. They can have limiting beliefs, but they've booked a call with you. They're asking for help. You should be able to overcome these things pretty easily. Okay, so the skeptic, all right? Sometimes you're gonna jump on calls with people who have had bad experiences before. They're like super allergic to sales and marketing. Again, they've booked the call. They're asking for help. They're just a little bit defensive, right? You gotta break that down. So number one, like, don't take it personally. Just come from a place of understanding and empathy. Like, hey, I get it, man. Like, there's so much nonsense out there. Like, I can understand why, you feel that way. It's totally cool, right? Start there. Get on the same page as them. From there, gain trust. These people, they want to find someone in an industry, like they're getting into an industry they know nothing about. They want to find someone who can just be super transparent with them, tell them how it really is, so that they can actually take the leap that they've been trying to make for so long, right? Be that person that's transparent. Be honest with them. Let them know what they're actually in for, all right? And be an expert. Like, know your stuff. Like, just explain what you know, give value, and all of a sudden that skepticism is just going to wash away. And finally, we call this prospect Mr. Ready to rock and roll, okay? You're going to get people who show up. Listen, the marketing that some of these coaches do is insane. The brands that they have is crazy. The trust that they've already built up. People will show up to the call and like they're ready to buy. I've sold on offers where like 80% of the leads that I'm talking to are these people. Now, with that said, it's not necessarily a layup, right? You still got to go about the call in a certain kind of a way. So if you get a sense that your prospect is really warm, really hot, great fit, don't overdo it, right? Be careful. Stay calm, cool, collected, okay? Detach yourself from the sale completely. If prospect tells you, hey, I've been following the coach for so long, I'm so excited, I want to work with you guys, you're not going to say, man, that's amazing, I love that, I love your ambition, I love blah, 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 blah. You're going to say, cool, man, that's really good to hear. Now let me ask you, and you're going to keep going about your process because you're an expert, you still need to qualify your prospect to make sure that they're the right fit, act as a consultant, okay? And as long as you do that and you don't give off any sense that you need to close the deal or you want to close the deal or you're overly attached to it, you're going to close this every time. Okay, objection handling. So this is where sales gets really fun. Would you like to know the best objection handling strategy that has ever existed in the history of sales? Just don't get objections. Okay, follow everything I explained in the 10 steps, like hit every step perfectly, and you won't get any objections. Like, it's actually made to prevent all of them before they even come up, before you even present, but it's pretty unrealistic to expect that you're going to be perfect on every single call. So that's why we train objection handling. The objection handling approach, the way you want to think is that the call really begins after you've dropped the price. Okay, I want you to understand, like, this is the highest tension point of the call. Especially when you're dealing with big numbers, big price tags, you've just dropped a bomb on them, right? You just said, hey, Mr. Prospect, it's going to be $8,000 to work with me. What's going to happen, back to the Foot Locker thing and, multiplied by 10, like, they're going to get defensive, or some people will get defensive. They're going to get really caught off guard by this, okay? They're going to be tense, so I want you to be really calm, cool, and collected. A lot of salespeople, like it, there will be a little bit of anxiety. You've just built up this entire call. Maybe you really need this sale because you have a commission goal. Take a deep breath, right? Even after you've dropped the price, go ahead, put your phone on mute if you're on a phone call. Take a second, let the silence hold until your prospect speaks and they respond to, the bomb that you just dropped on them, right? Trust the work that you've put in up until this point. Drop the price with confidence, and let's get into how to actually handle whatever objection your prospect might give you, okay? So the first thing you gotta understand is the difference between a smokescreen or a real objection, right? A lot of the stuff online, like, you'll see people saying like, oh, like, here's how to handle, I wanna think about it, or here's how to handle, I wanna talk to the wife, or here's what to do when someone says they'll pay next week. A lot of these short clips you see online, like, they miss the point. Like, you might see something like, oh, I'll pay next week. And they're like, oh, no problem. Why don't we just take care of a little deposit right now and we'll get you started later? That'll never handle a smoke screen because you're not handling a real objection. They're just going to keep giving you, fake objections basically because there's an underlying reason they don't want to move forward right now. Does that make sense? That's the difference between a smoke screen versus a real objection. Will be an actual challenge, an actual tangible thing that's stopping them from moving forward. definition of a smoke screen. Okay, I kind of touched on it, but just to go a bit deeper, this is complete bullshit that your prospect is telling you, whether knowingly or not knowingly. It's totally cool. Sometimes I've told someone I want to think about it when I've gotten on sales calls, and I've been doing sales for the past 5 years. It just happens. This is bullshit your prospect tells you just to get you off the phone without telling you the real objection. Okay, for example, I want to think about it, speak to the wife, can you send more information? I'd like to compare you to other companies. You want to get to the real objection, right? So just understand this definition as we go through the objection handling framework. This will make a lot more sense. So this is the 5 steps that we use for any objection to properly handle and overcome them to get to a decision, all right? Neutralizing the objection, isolating it, gaining commitments again, evoking emotion, bringing emotion back into the equation, and then asking for the sale with confidence. So the cool thing with this framework is that you can continue repeating it if it's a case of like you have one objection, you overcome it, and then you get another one. Hit the framework again. You get another objection after that, you hit the framework again, right? So let me show you how to do this. Step 1 is you want to neutralize, right? Let's say you drop the price, hey, one-time investment, $3,000. And they're like, oh, wow, okay, I think I'm going to need some time to think this one over. Step 1 is to neutralize, right? Again, keep it chill, keep it calm. Like this guy in the picture, look how calm he is. That's how you want to be on this call, all right? So again, the guard has gone way up. Just release the tension with Buddha level calmness, all right? Gotcha, I totally understand. No worries at all, right? Listen to my tone of voice. I'm very chill, very calm. I want to communicate that, all right? Now we isolate, all right? Just like what Kobe's doing here in this picture. So what you want to do is you're going to isolate to find the real objection, right? So, hey, gotcha, totally understand. And over these next couple days, as you think this one over, like what exactly is going through your head? What are you going to be thinking about? You're isolating it, right? Really, I just want to, take some time and look over my finances. Like, this is a big investment. I really want to do this, but I've never actually spent this amount of money before. Hey, gotcha, totally get it. So now we've just moved past the smoke screen and we've gotten to the real objection, which is the money. It's not that they want to think about it. It's the fact that they're tight on money. They've never made an investment like this before. And there's probably a lot of uncomfort right there, right? Another way that you can isolate, if a prospect says, hey, wow, that's a lot of money right now. I can't do that. Right? Okay, gotcha, totally understand. And when you say it's the money, like, what exactly do you mean by that? Because it could be a couple of things. Maybe they have the money, but they're not comfortable spending it. Maybe they do not have the money at all, but maybe they have it and they just don't see the value, right? Those are the 3 different kinds of money objections. So whatever it is, you're going to say, hey, and you're just going to dig a little bit deeper, right? What exactly do you mean by that? Is there anything in particular that you want to think over? Okay, and aside from the money, would there be anything else that's holding you back? No, you're clearing out the court so that you can go one-on-one with this single objection, all right? Now you're going to regain commitments, okay? So you're going to regain commitments to opportunity, to the time commitment, and to the belief in the value. So for example, right, you've gotten past the, hey, aside from the money, anything else? No, it's really just that. Totally get it. Totally chill. And let me ask you, like, is this something that you actually want to be a part of? Yeah, 100%. Okay. And, obviously, I mean, with something like this, you're looking at X amount of time commitment and X amount of work. Is that something that you're actually ready to put in? Yeah, totally. Good. And let me ask you, Mr. Prospect, like, after you do that, after you put in that work, using the group coaching and the one-on-one and the mastermind events that we do and all the other resources, are you confident that you'd be able to get to your goal of X, Y, and Z? Yes, absolutely. Right? So what you're doing is you're reeling your prospect back in. Notice how since the price drop, since the objection, we haven't gone on offense at all. All we're doing is just collecting information. We're just understanding what the real objection actually is, right? Like, you literally just want it for the first couple minutes when you're objection handling, you're not handling anything. You're just letting your prospect talk. Like, you're just giving them the floor, getting them to justify and explain what's really on their mind. Because when you give them the opportunity to do that, now they start to understand like what's actually stopping them. And they realize that, oh, okay, it's not really a problem. So Regaining commitments, one of two things are going to happen here. Okay, they're either going to give you 3 confident yeses. Yes, I believe in the opportunity. Yes, I'm ready to put in the work. And yes, absolutely, I feel I'll be able to see results with your program. What's going to happen right here, because they've just given you 3 confident yeses, they're usually going to justify the objection they gave you earlier. Like this happens almost every single time, where yes, yes, and yes, but it's just like I said earlier, like it's the money right now, and I'm probably going to need a couple weeks to come up with it. Is it cool if I just call you back? Right? Either that's going to happen, where they give you a little bit more information on their objection, which is going to be really good. It's going to help you a lot. Or the other thing, this is where you want to listen very carefully for uncertainty, right? If maybe the last thing you ask them, hey, are you super confident that you'll be able to see results with our program? I hope so. Guess what? You just found your real objection. The money could have been the smokescreen, right? Yeah, I don't know about the money. Got to look at my finances, right? You gain a couple commitments and you find out that they're hoping that they're going to see results. Of course they don't have the money for it, because why would they gamble? If someone's going to buy your program, they need to buy it on an absolute certainty. Okay, so really listen for that. Like, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, I think so, I guess. Well, hang on for a second. What do you mean by that? Well, like, I don't know. Like, I know you guys have results and I know all of this and that, but like, how do I know this is going to work for me? Now you can get into the real objection, right? Do you see how just by asking a few key questions and just by taking a back seat, keeping it calm, keeping it chill, how your prospect will just tell you what the real objection is on their mind? This is the key to objection handling. This is the hardest part. I see most salespeople, they'll just like jump straight in with their rehearsed line, take a second, reel them back in slowly, understand what's up, read the battlefield in front of you, and then make your move. Okay, now that you've understood the real objection, this is where you're going to evoke emotion. Okay, so you can use a story here, you can use an analogy. For example, right, in this case, let's say they have the money, but they're not sure if they're going to see results. They're not sure if it's going to work for them specifically, even though they know it's worked for other people, right? You might hit them with a story like this. And by the way, this hero's journey framework, I'm going to link it in a PDF in the description, just so that you can see it and you can tell basically any story following this. But long story short, what you'll do is, hey, gotcha, Mr. Prospect, and I totally get it. Like, I remember back in the day when, I was just starting out in entrepreneurship too. Like, I remember seeing so many people online seeing results, and every time I would try something, like, it wouldn't really work out the same way. And, for a long time that held me back, just because I felt that a lot of this stuff wasn't real. I lost some belief in myself, honestly, that I was capable of seeing results. And then what happened is one of my mentors, actually, he came to me and he told me, like, hey man, you got to snap out of it. Like, you really have 2 options. You either accept the situation that you're in, or you figure out where you messed up before and you continue moving forward. And what I did is I sought another mentor in the space I wanted to get into. I connected myself to them and I made a commitment, Mr. Prospect, that I was going to put in so much work that it would be unreasonable for me to fail. Okay, that's the difference between you starting this and becoming one of our next case studies versus you starting this and not seeing the results that you want to see. Now let me ask you, I mean, I know you've had some bad experiences in the past before. You're not going to let that hold you back moving forward, are you? No, not at all. I'm just not really sure right now. Okay, I totally get it. And let me ask you, like, if you followed everything that we explained, if you took the exact same steps that all of our other clients have taken to see the results that you want to see, I'm curious, how do you think you would fail? Well, I guess when you put it like that, it'd be hard not to. Well, it would be hard to fail. And sometimes, we need to take steps that scare us to level up. Would you agree? Yeah, I'd agree. That's where we move into step number 5, where we ask for the sale, all right? Ask with complete confidence. 2 ways you can do this, the assumed close or the proposed close. All right, the proposed close is, hey, what do you say? Let's go ahead and move forward, right? Or the assumed sale will be, hey, Mr. Prospect, I think you're ready for this. Let's do this, right? Where you don't even ask and you just say, let's do it, right? Mess around with both, see what you like, see what works. If they give you a no, nah, I don't know, I just got to think about it, I just got to do this, you're going to run it back from the top, okay? And also in the PDF down below, I'm going to give you an objection handling cheat sheet that breaks down every single objection and the different stories and analogies and objection overcomes that you can use for every possible objection that you will see on one of these calls. Okay, like I said, if they continue to object, neutralize, repeat the framework. We've talked about the 10-step framework. We've talked about how do you go from hello to dropping the price. We've talked about how do you go from getting an objection and turning it into a yes. Now let's talk about how to train all of this so that you can get this into your, almost into like who you are as a person, so that you don't have to think and you don't have to read scripts and you don't have to look at your notes. But how can you train this so that you can just jump on a call with someone and go through everything that I've explained 100% naturally in less than 90 days, by the way. This is the same protocol that we use whenever we're onboarding new closers. So there's 3 phases to the training, all right? You're about to enter your Rocky cutscene. Number 1 is understanding, okay? You need to understand all the concepts that I explained. Don't just note them down, but like understand, like what's the purpose of situational-based questions, right? Why do we show the gap on a call? You know, how can you overcome a challenge in a way that comes off as, you know, a place of empathy and you're there to help, right? Understand, you know, somewhat in depth a lot of these steps and strategies so that it just makes sense to you. That's step number 1. 2, you gotta learn how to execute it, how to actually do it live on a call. And 3 is achieving flow state, where, like I said earlier, it just becomes a part of who you are and the way that you conversate when you're on a sales call. So when you're understanding, as you're going through this, a lot of you guys are here right now. You're just starting to understand some of this stuff. Understanding over memorization, right? Think over a lot of these things. Take a second and like think, okay, how does this actually work? How would I react if someone asked me this, right? What kind of responses would I get if I did that? You know, think about every step and think about what you're actually doing on a psychological level almost. You know, you want to do some shadowing as well, where, you know, you want to listen to live sales calls. There's a lot on YouTube. I have some on my channel. If you have people around you who are doing sales, like watch them do it, and that's going to help you understand a lot of it quicker. And go ahead and read a script out loud on your own. Like a lot of these questions that I'm asking, I also have a script linked below in all the PDFs that you're going to see, a bunch of bonuses. Check it out after the call or after the video. Read the script out loud. I remember my first like 2 days of sales training. I did some sales training with Dylan. He taught me what he knew. He gave me a basic script. I ended up going on a vacation. And I remember I would just be in the hotel, just reading the script on my own, just saying it out loud, just getting comfortable with the wording and the sentences, right? Once you've gone through that for maybe about a couple of days, maybe a week, maybe less, it really just comes down to you. Get into the execution phase. All right, do 100 full role plays where you go through the 10 steps, where you objection handle. Do that 100 times, and I find it very unreasonable that you're not going to be confident with this stuff. All right, how are you going to do that? You can join a community, whether it's a free one or a paid one, it doesn't really matter. You can do this with a friend, right? Just find a buddy who's willing to help you out. Tell him, hey, I want you to be a prospect for a fitness program. Hey, I want you to be a prospect for a real estate offer. I'm going to call you up, run you through some questions, and see if I can close you. I'd recommend that you record them as well so you can go back on it and drill every possible sales situation, right? I've just given you all of the tools. I've given you all of the stages. I've given you the objections that you're going to see. Also, it's all in the PDF. I've given you the different kinds of prospects that you're going to run into, right? The high ego prospect, the skeptical prospect, someone who's stuck in a 9-to-5, someone who's running a business, someone who is warm and ready to rock, right? Like practice all of these different prospects, practice the different approaches and get really comfortable with it. Do that 100 times. It'll take you a month, really. Do that, what is it, in 30 days, 3 role plays a day? That's maybe 1 or 2 hours of work, okay? How much time are you scrolling on your phone every day? Go, check it. Cut off an hour or 2, work on a skill set that's gonna change your life. Phase number 2, continued, okay? So these are the progressions that you can follow. Literally start with intro agenda, right? Start out with, hey Matt, how's it going? It's Misha calling with XYZ company. How are you? I'm good, how are you? Man, I'm doing amazing, this and that's going on. A reason for the call, I noticed you scheduled here. I just wanted to see how we can help you out. You ready to rock? Yeah, I am. Okay, cool. What I'd like to do is ask you a couple questions and see how we can help you out. If I feel like I can, I'll show you how. If not, I'll point you in the right direction. That little 30-second blurb right there, the reason why I'm good at it is because I've been practicing this thing over and over and over tens of thousands of times, right? Practice out on your own. Start there, get confident with it. Move into steps 1 through 4. Okay, once you've gotten good with the intro and agenda, that should take you a couple days, really. Open it up a little bit. Extend the conversation up until vision. Get really comfortable with that. Do it up until steps 9, right? Just before you present. Once you're comfortable with steps 1 through 9, add in a hypothetical presentation, okay, where you explain a basic program to someone. Once you've gotten good at presenting your program, now add in some objections on that. Like I said, that'll take you about a month and you should get pretty sharp with it if you lock in. Now, phase 3, this is what we call achieving flow state. So once you've done your 100 role plays, cool. Now you're gonna practice for a specific niche. You know, if you really wanna sell fitness, awesome. Just lock in on that and look at, okay, like what are the different kinds of fitness programs out there, right? How can I prepare for it? You know, or any other niche. Target your strengths and weaknesses. After you've done your first 100, you're gonna know exactly what you're really good at and you're gonna know what you're not good at. Like you're gonna notice at certain stages of the call, like you're not really sure what to do, or maybe you get a little bit anxious. Figure out what are your weaknesses and just target those things, right? So that you can turn those weaknesses into strengths and make your strengths even better, okay? And also just increase the difficulty of your role plays. Take on harder and harder prospects. Find people who can give you a challenge and test your abilities. See how far you can go with it, okay? And like I said, I'm gonna give you a bunch of PDFs. It's gonna show you a step-by-step action plan that you can actually follow. All right, reaching a level where you can execute a complete sales call with confidence honestly should not take you any longer than 4 months, right? I have guys that I'll work with who within 2 or 3 weeks, they go super hard and they have some ability already and they're ready to go. Create a schedule, make this a part of your routine, set aside 4 months. This is something, like I said, can change the trajectory of your life. Here's the challenge. You gotta be willing to work without seeing a reward. Are you willing to do that? Most people aren't. Most people want a reward tomorrow. They wanna make commissions yesterday. And I know you do, but you wanna be patiently impatient, okay? So take a second, accept that, hey, this is gonna be hard. I'm gonna grind for the next couple months. I'm not gonna see any results in the short term, but this is gonna set me up so that a few months from now, I can actually find an amazing placement, I can crush it, I can make a shit ton of money so that next year I'm in a position where I can travel, I can make the kind of money I want, I can do what I want, and I'm not tied down by anything, right? You make the decision if you want to do that. By the way, everything I just explained, this is stuff that Pamphil, when he started working with us, he was like super robotic, super dry on the calls, really salesy. It took him about 4 months to really like work out the kinks. But the moment that he did, day 1, we placed him with an Airbnb offer. Day 1, closed $7,500 in sales, did about $750 in commissions on day 1. Screenshotted right there, and he did 80K in sales his first month. He did like 11 grand Canadian in commissions, which was really cool to see. This is also Ben. Ben's someone who works with us in office. He mastered these concepts, and Ben has his own style to it. Like if any of you guys know Ben, you know what he's all about. He's made the concepts his own. He takes his own approach to it, but he follows the structure, he follows the psychology of it, and he does 13, 15 grand a month pretty easily. He's been doing that pretty consistently for the past year or two now. Okay, stage number 2, landing your dream closing job. All right, now that you've trained, now that you've prepped yourself, you've turned yourself into the type of closer that the highest profile coaches in the world are looking for, let's talk about how do you actually find these coaches and how do you land yourself a job. Okay, one concept is, and this is important, a rising tide lifts all boats. I think John F. Kennedy said this when back in like the 50s or 60s or something, he was trying to get people to invest in the stock market. Doesn't matter what stock you buy if the tide is lifting everybody. So in your case, if you're selling on an offer that's crushing it, that's doing 200-300 grand a month, generating a bunch of hot leads, you could be a badass closer, you can be freaking Jordan Belfort and you'll crush it. Or you can just be a regular sales guy and you'll still be able to do 6 figures selling on that offer, right? That is how this kid that you see right here, who was in desperate need of a haircut, cleared 100 grand in commissions before the age of 20. Not because I was a prodigy. I want you guys to understand that. I did not have a lot of natural sales skills. I was just a hard worker, and I got a really good connection through my business partner selling for Ty Lopez, where we were dealing with very hot leads. I worked hard, I focused on my skill set, and I was able to do well. I just want you to understand, I'm assuming most of you watching this video, if you're interested in sales, you probably have some sales experience, and you're most likely starting with a lot more experience or natural ability than I had. And if you follow what I explained in these next few slides, you will be able to replicate this. All right, one thing, a six-figure skill, you can be an amazing closer with a six-figure, seven-figure skill set. If you're on a zero-figure opportunity, you make nothing. Versus you got a four-figure skill, selling on a six-figure opportunity, you should be able to do six figures, okay? The quality of the offer that you sell on will dictate the amount of money that you make. So just understand you're really one closing job away from, whatever your goals really are. So here's what you're looking for, roughly. This is your criteria. These are the most important things. So first of all, 100% commission, independent contractor. I've never liked the base. I've always wanted to be in complete control of my income and my commission, and this is what's going to allow you to make a lot of money your first year in sales, being on this type of gig. You want to be getting at least 5 to 10 inbound leads daily. All right, this is ideal, if not a little bit more. Selling something between 3 to 25 grand on a 10 to 15% commission, and selling an amazing service that's going to consistently deliver client results to your prospects. This is going to give you the conviction when your prospect is giving you some hard objections, you're gonna feel it's your responsibility to handle them. If you had the cure to cancer and everyone told you, hey, you've lost your mind, you're crazy, I'm just gonna think about this for a year and I'll get back to you. If you had the cure to cancer, you would go hard, right? Right. Now, if you have a program and you have a bunch of case studies who are very similar to your prospect and where they're at, and you're like, holy shit, this guy, he needs this. Now you're going to be able to operate from a place of mission rather than commission. And that's going to allow you to make a lot of commissions. All right, so let's keep going. Types of offers, 3 big niches: health, wealth, personal development. Let's get into them. First of all, health. This is probably the biggest coaching market. You're going to see a lot of offers like this. All right, these are typically a little bit lower ticket, so anywhere between 500 to 3K. I have seen some higher ticket fitness offers like 5K. We're actually potentially going to be working with an ex-NFL player who's got a $15,000 offer with fitness, which is really interesting. But for the most part, it's going to be in this range. There's different types. It's not just get jacked, right? Stuff like weight loss, muscle gain, dieting, chronic health issues. You see a lot of biohacking stuff these days. Now, wealth. This is where you see the massive client results, right? So in terms of monetary gain. It's good because if someone's going to invest 10K on a program, you can see, okay, well, starting a business like this, it's pretty realistic to make X amount. The return on investment is pretty easy to understand, and that's why, especially the really quality wealth offers, they demand really high price points, right? So typical stuff: e-com, real estate, investing, trading, credits, agency offers, sales programs, career coaching, and there's probably so much more out there. But bottom line, programs that people spend money to learn a skill set that will make them more money. Personal development. These are typically going to be more mature prospects, I find. This is generally speaking, but it's more of an intangible result. So there's good sides to that and there's bad sides to that. So with an intangible result, if Tony Robbins, for example, right? He has conferences that he charges, 50, 60 grand for. What's the result that someone gets from that? I don't know. It's different for every single individual, right? So selling something like that, you can really, it's really malleable, if you know what I mean, where you can almost adjust, that dream outcome and that dream state to every single prospect that you have. So if you're really sharp on the phones, you can do well with this, but you have to be really good on the phones, right? So I'd recommend this for maybe later on in your career, maybe as a step up. Typically really expensive price points, name value, super key. You're selling for somebody like Tony Robbins or one of these big names, not a hard sale at all, and then you really got to start pushing your commissions higher. But anyways, life coaching, relationship coaching, public speaking, a lot of transformational stuff. Now, how to find high ticket sales jobs, and not just find them, but how do you land them and start closing for them? 2 main strategies. This is what everybody wants to know. This is probably the biggest challenge that people face when they're getting into high ticket, okay? So let's get into it. Strategy number one is going to be the outreach strategy. So this is going about this on your own, reaching out to coaches, getting in touch with them, landing offers. First, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Take a second on your pen and paper. Think about like what are the top 3 niches that you have some knowledge in or you have some passion in, right? Maybe it's fitness is a really easy one. Maybe you've messed around with an e-commerce store, or you've done some real estate, or think about the niches that you're interested in and you already know about. Okay. Now ask yourself, what is the ideal offer, the perfect offer that you could sell and why? Okay, so just a couple examples. Maybe you say a weight loss program for 18 to 23-year-olds because I used to be fat and when I lost weight, it changed my life. Amazing. You have a lot of conviction selling on an offer like that. Great. Or even a real estate investing mastermind because one day I'd like to get into real estate investing, and selling a program like that, like you will get a crash course on real estate investing while you're getting paid. Like that's really cool, right? Take a second and like really think about this in depth because this is going to be important. Now ask yourself, what makes you different? Like why should a business take a chance on you? Something that I hear a lot of, because like this is good to just know for yourself, like what makes you different? What are your strengths? Even on like interviews, right? Super common interview question. What I've seen a lot when I've done interviews is I'll be like, hey, so like, what do you think makes you different? What sets you apart from the rest? Well, I have this passion for bringing value to your company and all of this. It's like that, come on, like what makes you different as a human being, right? What experiences have you had? What transformations have you made in your own life that allow you to help other people? To take a second and think about that because I think that's important. Now, here are some of the methods that you can follow that I've seen personally work for guys that I've worked with in the past. So 2 main sources, Instagram and Facebook. This is going to be the big platforms that you're going to use. Very simple. Okay, so start out with Instagram. First thing that you're going to do is you're going to optimize your profile. Okay, solid profile picture, good bio, showing a little bit of your personality, but also communicating that you are a high ticket closer. And if you have experience, state that high ticket closer dash X amount in sales or appointment sets or whatever. If you don't have experience, that's fine. Just leave that out. Once you've optimized your profile, you've got a bio, you've got some good pictures of you, you've deleted all the pictures of you drunk when you're freaking 17 years old. Now you're gonna start reaching out for coaches. So look at your list of the top 3 niches that you wanna sell in, right? Let's say fitness is one of them. Search up fitness coach. You're gonna see 10 different names pop up, right? Look through their profiles, see, okay, who's selling a high ticket offer, write down their name, right? Write down the solid ones, not just any of them, okay? Now you're gonna go fitness course, fitness program, fitness mentor, fitness coaching, right? You can do this with, e-commerce, you can do this with Amazon FBA, you can do it with real estate, wholesaling, development. You can talk about, masterminds. Like think about the different niches that are out there, just throw them into the search bar and put coach next to it, and you're gonna see all the big coaches show up and you're gonna be reaching out to them, okay? So what you wanna do with every single one, I get a lot of DMs all the time, just bad DMs. Either their profile sucks, their message sucks, and I really give them maybe half of a second before I swipe away. Like I'm not even really reading their message. But what I do go through every single time, and I'm probably gonna get a bunch of videos after this, but I always watch the videos that people send me because that tells me who they actually are, right? A text, anybody can just copy and paste from the internet, right? There are hundreds of people who want the dream job that you're looking for. And honestly, it's not that hard to separate yourself. If you can take this phone, put it up like this, look at it, and speak to it, okay? So really quickly, I'm just gonna throw up an example of a video DM that you can send out. You're gonna be sending out something like this to every single coach that you reach out to. Let that play. Hey Matt, what's going on? I saw that you're running a real estate coaching offer where you're teaching investors how to step into XYZ niche. I've been looking for a business like yours to do sales for. Now listen, I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of experience in this space, but what I do have is a really strong work ethic and I'm very coachable. I've been looking for a business like yours to go all in with so that I can build the career that I want to build, right? What I wanted to ask you is, are you taking on any closers? If not, I'm totally cool dialing any leads that your team isn't dialing,
cold calling, appointment setting, whatever I can do to add value to you guys, I'm willing to start at the bottom to work my way up to prove to you that I can drive revenue so that one day I can be a top dog in your company. All right, if that sounds cool, I'd love to chat a little bit more.
Leverage any experience or KPIs that you have, use them to your advantage. So if you have experience closing, perfect. If you have experience doing any other form of sales, great, let them know. If you have experience in a management position or in some kind of coaching or leadership role, just in general, right? Understand why it's valuable and communicate it. Use it to your advantage, use it to set you apart. If you don't have it, the video message is gonna do wonders for you. Just show that you're a good communicator and you're confident, and you'll be fine. Like, you will differentiate yourself from everybody else. Every business owner, they want a young up-and-comer to come in that they can grow and that they can develop. All right, and finally, follow up. Like, especially with the coaches that will respond to you and talk to you. The cool thing with the DMs and the cool thing just with outreach in general is you're showcasing your sales ability in the interview and outreach process, right? Your ability to follow up, your ability to communicate, your ability to sell yourself, your ability to understand the business owner's needs, right? So follow up is just one of those things, right? If you get a response from a coach and they're like, hey, I'll let you know. Okay, cool. When can I expect a response? Give us a couple weeks and I'll get back to you. 2 weeks later, hey man, just following up on this. How's everything going? Right? You should keep a list of your follow-ups. You should be reaching out to them. Expect about 1 interview for every 100 DMs that you send. I believe if you have an older Instagram account, you can send like 50 to 100 DMs a day. Okay, and it might take you literally 5 minutes of research plus an extra 5 minutes of filming a quick video for you to send out one. What's that? I don't know. You guys do the math, but do as many of these as you can. Facebook groups, all right? Same overall approach, just a different platform, right? So what you're gonna do, obviously optimize your profile with the things that I just mentioned with Instagram. Go to the groups section, the community section, search up high ticket closer, remote closer, online sales, appointment setting. Look up these keywords and you're gonna find a lot of groups. Like, it's not hard to find these Facebook groups. And what these groups are basically built for is for business owners to come in and look for closers, right? So you'll see a lot of job postings in there. Look through the postings. I think you should be aware of a lot of the, not necessarily scams. I mean, what's gonna happen is you're gonna see real business owners in there actually looking for closers, especially in a lot of the vetted groups. Like my group, for example, you can search Millionaire Closers Community Group. We vet every coach that we allow to post in there. Otherwise, we delete their post because there's so much bullshit out there. So you guys can check that out. Other groups, you'll find real business owners. You will find headhunters who are making these posts, like looking for closers, and then they'll ask you for like a success fee. Some of this can work. Honestly, I haven't seen anything with it, so I can't say positive or negative. You will see people who try to sell you like a course or something when you apply for their job, so just be aware of that. Like, I probably wouldn't buy a lot of them, but I mean, you do what you want to do. Just understand what you're going to run into. What you're going to do is join 10 to 20 groups, like unfollow everything else from your Facebook feed, because let's be real, who actually uses Facebook these days? You don't need it for anything else. Join 10 to 20 groups, turn on post notifications for all of them, and you're just gonna get notifications all day of new postings that go up. Be the first one to DM, okay? So typically the post, it'll say, comment down below, comment them, and DM the job poster as well, right? Again, separate yourself from the pack, okay? DM them the same way that I was talking about with Instagram, right? Lead with a video, leverage your experience. If you don't have any, just make sure you're confident and you explain, what you're willing to do and the work you're willing to put in. And always with both of this, Facebook groups, Instagram, do a little bit of research. Take 5 minutes to research the company that you're reaching out to. Personalize the DM, right? Make it different. If it looks like a scripted DM, they're not gonna give you more than half a second. Now, once you've done a bunch of outreach, right? You've talked to a bunch of people, you got a couple interviews lined up. How do you actually prepare for the interview so that you can land the job, okay? Again, with the interview, you're really demonstrating your ability to sell, right? Your ability to communicate, your ability to get ideas across. So just keep that in mind. One thing that has always been very important, especially within my business, is that you're punctual and professional, okay? You're 5 minutes early and you're ready for the meeting. Okay, before the meeting, you send out a quick message, hey, really excited to chat. After the meeting, you say, hey, that was an awesome chat. I can really see myself working with your company. Looking forward to hearing back from you. Small things like that, right? Not only are you punctual, but you're also professional, right? So, I mean, this is common knowledge, but common knowledge isn't very common these days. Don't be wearing a wife beater on your interview. Don't be in your mom's freaking unfinished basement. Okay, appearance is everything. First impressions are everything. Be in a well-lit room, nice background, got a nice shirt on. You don't need to be suited up. I think that might be overly professional depending on the role, but just make sure your appearance comes across as good. Shave your beard, get a nice haircut, whatever you got to do, and be confident, be interesting, right? Like again, you're showcasing your ability to be on a sales call, right? What did we talk about earlier? You should not be an uptight, scripted weirdo. Have a personality, right? Let yourself go a little bit. Be confident in who you are and trust the work that you've put into all of the training that you've put in up until this point, all right? Smile, be interesting. If they ask you certain questions, feel free to jump in and tell stories and give depth to who you actually are. This stuff is gonna make or break your sales career, all right? Your ability to do that on a sales interview. Now, two things, show ambition, first of all, not like blind ambition, like I wanna make $1 million this month, right? But like, hey, like I'm willing to come in and like I wanna build a career with you, right? Show that, because I'm assuming if you're still watching this video, that's what you want. You wanna build a long-term, fruitful, amazing career working with one company. You don't wanna be bouncing around between a new offer every month, right? So show that, hey, like, ask certain questions, and I'll get into this in a second, but what are the long-term career opportunities? What are the KPIs that you look for different promotions in your business? How long have other people worked with you? Things like that, right? Show the ambition and actually mean it. And then most importantly, don't get on your knees. I think I talked about this earlier, but you should not, like if they ask you, hey, so why should we take you on? Well, I'm really passionate about converting your leads and bringing value and representing your company. No, you're not, right? Like, let's be real. Everybody is selfish. And when I've had people tell me that to my face, I'm like, bro, let's cut like the corporate shit. What makes you different? So don't do that. Don't feel like you need to get on your knees and say, oh, I'd love to bring you value and do all these amazing things for you. Know who you are, be confident in yourself, be confident in what makes you different, communicate that, okay? Questions to ask, you might ask, hey, so like what are the top guys or even the guys who are at the bottom earning on your sales team, right? Why do the guys who are at the top of the board, why do they outperform the rest? Like what makes them different? What are your expectations of me in my first month, in my first 6 months, in my first year? How do you promote salespeople into larger roles? How do you promote managers? How do you get people into management positions? What do you need to see from me so that I can be considered for these roles in the future? And I think a really good question too is, hey, like what makes your offer different from some of your competitors? Like what's your unique selling point, right? Because you also don't want to come from a place of like, I need this job. You want to almost qualify the job as well, right? This shows that you're coming from a place of abundance. You're not some scrub. Even if you have no experience, the way that you ask some of these questions and the way that you hold yourself will put yourself in a light where like it doesn't even matter what experience you do or you don't have, right? Qualify them, make sure it's a good fit for you. What makes your offer different? What's the sales process like? How many leads can I expect to bring in every day? What kind of results are your clients seeing right now? Keynotes when it comes to outreach, this is a volume game, okay? You're gonna be sending out a lot of messages. Stand out from the crowd, be different from everybody else. Don't be a simp, okay? Position yourself as an expert. You know what you're doing, you're confident, you're here to make money, all right? And understand that you will have to work your way up, especially if you're coming in with no experience, right? Like don't expect to get the top closer role with the hottest leads. You're probably gonna have to start out maybe doing some kind of cold calling appointment setting. Even if you start on inbound calls, you're not gonna get the highest priority right off the bat. That's fine, accept that, be willing to work through that. These are, the parts of your career that you're gonna look back and smile on because you got over the difficult part and you were able to accomplish your big goals. All right, this will be difficult. Okay, but it's worth it. Just a quick reminder, the moment that you get a calendar that looks like this, right here, with just back-to-back book calls where you're earning a $300,000, $500,000 commission on each sale, closing at a 20 to 30% rate, when you have this many leads coming in with an awesome structure, it's like hard to fail, okay? This is just like Zach. So Zach, he was able to source an offer on his own. This was for a $10,000 offer. And this is also how Corey found an offer where he earned $1,000 his first month on the phones, just 20 days into his sales career, which is pretty cool. So the stuff works. You can find gigs this way. Now, here's the hard truth. Let's do a quick mental exercise really quickly, all right? I want you to go ahead, take off your shoes, put yourself in the shoes of a successful online coach, all right? Let's just say you own a real estate coaching company. Let's say you're doing 500 grand a month in sales with your online offer, okay? You've built this reputation for being trustworthy, for delivering amazing results for the people you work with. Let's say you're spending 100 grand a month on your paid advertising and you're faced with a problem. You're scaling your coaching business and you need new closers, right? The problem is if you bring in a new closer and you give them full calendars and they don't perform right away, this is gonna lead to literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost revenue. Meanwhile, your DMs are filled with people who are, begging. I promise to work really hard. I bought this closer certificate that says that I'm good. They're begging for sales jobs. And then you receive a DM with the following. You get some badass who sends you a message. Hey, I've sold 3.4 million in total high ticket sales. I have a career close rate of 42% on offers ranging from 3 to 10K. I've sold on 3 different real estate offers just like yours. And as a bonus, just in case, there's a little bit of risk here, I'll pay you for my leads the first month to minimize your risk. Who would you give the interview to? All right, understand that if you're coming in with little to no experience, you're gonna have to work your way up. Right? There's people like that out there who have that experience and they're going to get the job over you every single time. That's the reality of this industry. Okay. But just like anything worth doing, it's going to be hard. Be prepared to grind, be prepared to put in the work in the beginning, make a little bit less commissions. This is how I started. This is how everybody starts in sales. If you have no experience, how dare you be so entitled to think that you deserve an opportunity over someone who's got credibility like that. All right. And the thing is, the most established offers in the world, they're picky about who they give their leads to, right? Like a business owner like the one I just described, earning that kind of money with that kind of reputation, they're barely even looking at their DMs. Like what they're doing is they're leveraging their network in the space to find sales agencies that are known for training and placing closers like this so that they can completely reduce the risk when hiring, right? So if you would prefer not to send hundreds of cold messages and work your way up from the bottom, and if you want higher quality placements sooner with less headaches, this is where strategy number 2 comes into play, all right? Investing in a program. Now, this is you. Is this guy saying I need to spend money? Listen, if you're broke or if you're just like allergic to spending money, you can absolutely hustle your way through this. I'm the last guy that's going to tell you have to buy a program to succeed. However, you do realize what you're here to learn, right? Like you're watching an advanced training on how to hop on calls and influence people to invest crazy amounts of money into themselves. Okay, if you've made the decision to really go big with this, if you're thinking in your head like, okay, this is an industry, I want to go ahead and make 6 figures doing this remote, building a career, how do you expect to get there without practicing what you preach? Like it's kind of like selling a gym membership, but you're 100 pounds overweight. It's like, yeah, like you can probably make some sales, but you're probably not going to have a long-term career selling gym memberships, being fucking fat and telling people, hey, you should go use this gym, right? Like it just doesn't make sense. You're not even sold on it yourself. How are you going to influence other people to take action, So for those who really want to take this far, I really think at some point, like you will make a decision to save time and headache by investing into some type of coaching, training, or mastermind. But there's a lot of garbage programs out there and there's different methods to achieve a similar outcome. And you need to understand the following to make the best decision if you're thinking about investing in yourself to speed up your career path, okay? First of all, what types of programs are available? How can you choose what type is best for you and your needs? And how can you get the results that you want from any program that you buy? All right, 2 main types that I see, okay? There's outreach training, and then there's sales training plus job placement. So let's get into them here. So outreach training. So when it comes to these programs, it's more of an emphasis on DMing and lining up interviews, right? So kind of what I explained earlier, that basic strategy, you'll just get a lot more guidance on, okay, like how do you send out the DMs? How do you line up interviews, right? Like you'll have a community where you have people talking about this, where you can kind of work together. A lot of, from what I've seen with a lot of these programs, is there isn't much emphasis on like sales training, and it's more, okay, find yourself a gig, get on the phones, learn through experience, learn through trial and error, right? And a lot of it really is accountability and community. It's kind of like why, fitness or getting a personal trainer, it's kind of like why that's so popular, right? Like everybody knows how to get in shape. Like you can watch YouTube videos that explain, hey, here are the simple steps that you can take to get in shape. Here are the workouts, here are the diets, and you can just follow them. But like people will get a personal trainer because it's accountability. You have someone who's an expert that can walk you through it and keep you going when things get tough, right? I think a large part of it is that. I think having a community is important, especially while you're in the grind and you're sending out a bunch of DMs and you're lining up interviews. It's probably a good idea to have people around you who are on the same path, right? I'd recommend you have some kind of sales experience for this to work out for you. Sales training plus job placements. There's two components to this. Typically these programs, they will train the hell out of you in the beginning to get your skill set up, because when it comes to the placement opportunities, you're usually relying on someone else's reputation. Well, you are relying on someone else's reputation to land you that job. So even in my program, for example, like when I use my reputation to get people closing jobs, I need to make sure that they're going to be able to back that up, that they're going to be able to perform, right? So this means much more of an emphasis on sales training, on the sales ability, right? Like you need to be good. With that said, there's going to be a quality placement that's going to be sourced for you, right? So you're going to get a higher quality placement that you probably wouldn't be able to source for yourself. And you're going to get the interview lined up for you, right? So you kind of get the alley-oop. There's going to be higher expectations with something like this. And there's also going to be incentive for closer results. Like it's pretty cool because like even in my program, like I love seeing people win. I love seeing people crush it. But like for us to connect you with a coach, it's like, you got to be good. Like I need to make sure that when you're on the phones, you're going to hit the ground running right away. Not just because I want to see you win, but I also want to maintain my reputation, and I also want to make sure that the client does well, right? So it's kind of a win-win scenario for everyone, right? But like I said, higher expectations. This is for those who are seeking the highest quality training, placement, and also I believe network to build a long-term career, because you're going to be working with people who are typically running at a larger scale. They got multiple offers. They got a bunch of closers on their team who are operating at a higher level. So that's what you're looking at when it comes to this. So this is how we placed Sham, a 19-year-old with no experience in the space, with one of the most credible e-commerce offers in less than 3 months of him starting. So we trained him for like a month. He was in school and working on like a really, really tight schedule. So we couldn't get him an amazing placement, but we had him on the weekends doing dials, and he was making a couple G's a month. And then from there, we actually moved him up to this e-commerce offer. It was a $5,000 and $8,000 coaching offer. Where he was able to do $5,000 a month. He was able to scale his income up to $10,000 a month. And this is a really funny screenshot. I've never seen anything like this before, but his parents got him a cake for hitting 10K a month. But they got him half a cake. You'd think that for that kind of milestone, you get a full one. But anyways, also this is how James earned $7,200 his second month on the phones. So we connected him with a real estate investing offer. This was like a wholesaling offer, right? Teaching people how to like source leads and develop a wholesale operation. There's a 2K, there's a 12K offer within 2 months of him starting. He did pretty well, and he's still growing his commissions. So we see a lot of potential with him right now. And this is also how my partner, Rome, left his engineering job and started closing for Ty Lopez just 2 months into his sales career ever. He had no sales experience before this, earning $16,000 his second month on the phones. Rome, back in the day, invested in a program, got the training, got the placement, and now he's one of my best friends. I learn from him every day, and we work side by side together. So how do you choose what's best for you? Because I think you can't go wrong either way, right? Ask yourself the following questions, and I want you to really note down your answers, or at least take a second to really like think about this stuff, because this is important. First of all, like, what do you want from this? What are your goals? Like, what do you hope to gain? Is it freedom from your 9 to 5 or school? Is it, you want a better lifestyle? You want, nicer condo, nicer cars, nicer clothes, nicer food? Is it, you really want to provide for your family and, do something big? Is it, maybe you have like a hole, maybe you have some kind of insecurity and, you want confidence, you want status, nothing wrong with that. That was one of the biggest drivers for me early on when I was getting into all this, right? Ask yourself these questions. What's like really the core thing for you, okay? Work backwards. How much money do you need to earn to actually accomplish those goals, right? Is it $5,000 a month? Is it 20 grand a month? Is it 50 grand a month, right? How much is it a year? What would that do for you? Like take a second, actually think about these things. Okay, now what's your time commitment, right? Like how much time do you actually have to dedicate to this, right? Most people, they usually start on some kind of a part-time schedule. Can you find 3-4 hours every evening? Is it just on the weekends, okay? When you do make a certain amount of money, right, where you can make the transition to going full-time, like are you the type to work 4 hours a day and just kind of enjoy and just do whatever you want, have that freedom? Or are you the type to work 12 hours a day, just really max out your commissions and your income? Ask yourself, how long are you willing to like train, outreach, and like really invest time into your skill sets before you start closing with a solid offer? Is it 3 months? Or are you willing to spend maybe a year grinding it out? Are you willing to spend 2 years? Right? Do you want to move fast? Do you want to take your time with it? And do you believe in your abilities as a beginner? Do you believe you have the discipline and you have the capability to go out on your own, reaching out to these coaches who get hundreds of DMs to potentially land a gig? Or do you prefer to work with an established agency with a proven track record so that you can just focus on the skill set? Key point, like I said, I don't think that you can go wrong with this. If you're the type of person, like you watching this right now, if you're coachable, if you're disciplined, if you refuse to give up until you see results, like if you have these character traits, if you have this burning desire to see success, you will succeed, like period. Whether you invest in a training or not, whether you do outreach, whether you do placement, whether you go out on this completely on your own. Honestly, if you try another business model, I think it's the person that sees the results. It's not the tools and the resources, right? The tools and the resources will just speed up and potentially make things easier in some ways, right? But it all starts with you, like regardless of whether you join a program, you do this on your own, whose program you buy, number one variable is you, man. Now, here's how to get the results that you want, because especially if you're investing, I mean, these programs, like depending on who it is and what you're doing, it'll be, a few $1,000s, if not more. How do you make sure that you get the results that you want? What are the actions that you can take so that you see a return on your investment and way more than that? Okay, whether your goal is $5,000, $10,000, 25, 50, your success comes down to one main thing, which is the quality of the offer that you sell for after yourself and the person and the skill sets that you have. You're not gonna see any results if you don't have a quality offer, right? So quick recap, reminder, what you're looking for: independent contractor, 5 to 10 inbound leads, high ticket sizes, 10 to 15% commission, and an amazing service, okay? Once you land this job, you've done the hard part. Now you just need to perform. Now you just need to take the skill sets that you've already learned and just execute them, okay? It doesn't matter how you choose to find this placement. One concept remains the same. You need to become the closer that these businesses are looking for, all right? Don't chase it. Don't try to like chase it down, even in your head. Like if you want to make a lot of money, don't chase the money. Don't chase the girl. Attract it, right? Become the type of person that attracts these things. Here's a couple qualities and traits that you need to develop to attract your dream closing job. Number one is confidence in all sales situations. Have you done the training? Do you have weaknesses that you've neglected? Okay, have you done your 100 role plays? Do you feel like you need to do another 100 role plays? All right, are you confident with any objection, any type of prospect? Like you can literally just do the work for a couple months and you'll have that confidence. Now, do you have an in-depth knowledge of the market you want to sell in? Do you have like a genuine ambition and growth mentality, right? Do you see 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the road? And do you see like a rough plan of how you're going to get there? Do you have like naturally high enthusiasm, right? Are you a passionate, high energy person? Now, what actions can you take to develop these traits? I want you to work backwards. Confidence in all sales situations. Like I said, hundreds of role plays and sales calls, practicing every possible objection, every possible customer. In-depth knowledge of the market, okay? Whatever market you want to get into, whatever niche you want to sell in, study the biggest names. Like just go type in the niche into Google, you'll see them come up. Those guys, they have smart people on their SEO. They'll show up at the top. Study them, right? Funnel hack, look at their sales funnel, look at the marketing messaging. Who are they talking to? What are the pain points that they're targeting? It's pretty clear to see when you just look for it, right? What are their biggest challenges? What are their biggest goals? Think about these things, write them down, understand them. Now, ambition and growth mentality. Like I said, most people, they're short-sighted. I know I was when I was first getting into all this, and I think network plays a big role in that, like surrounding yourself with people who are ahead of you and who think bigger than you. Really good book. I like Patrick Bet-David, Your Next 5 Moves. I'll kind of challenge you to think bigger and think on a longer time horizon and give you a strategy to do that. Write these things down, write your short-term, long-term vision. Be able to communicate what it is, right? Be able to explain it and break it down to someone, whether that's just yourself, people around you, or if that's someone interviewing you, and actually make sure your actions align with that plan. That's probably the key. A lot of people say, I want to make $1 million by 30. Okay, what's your daily routine? It says a lot, right? Now, high enthusiasm, okay? For me, when I first got into this, I was super contained, shy, introverted, not one to be the loudest in the room ever. This is something that you can develop, and I feel that I have developed it through some of these things here, right? So one is selling on mission rather than commission, right? You really got to feel like, hey, I'm going to help people. It is my responsibility. It is my duty to pour into the customer I'm speaking to pour into my family and help them, my friends, the people around me, right? It really all starts with mission, right? Do you have a mission on this planet? Is there something that you can share with people, all right? If you don't have one, develop one. Two, the personal development. I think that's super key, right? Like whatever you're doing right now that you know is holding you back and you know exactly what it is, stop doing it. Whatever thing you need to do that you know is going to take you to the next level, again, you know exactly what it is, start doing it. A lot of the times it's pretty simple. It doesn't matter how you acquire these traits. Once you equip them, okay, once you have that high enthusiasm, you have in-depth knowledge of the market, you've trained every single sales situation, again, whether you're in a paid program, whether you're not, whether you're in an outreach program and you're sourcing your own placement, or if you're getting someone else to source it for you, when you have all these traits, businesses will beg for you to close them. You will attract these high quality businesses, okay? Okay, stage number 3, excelling in your role. In this second half of the video, what I'm gonna do is show you, okay, once you've gotten the placement, what happens next? Everybody, all I see online, the reason why I'm making this video really is because I want you to think past that. Okay, don't be short-sighted. Think 5 moves ahead, okay? Let's dive in. Winston Churchill. He who fails to plan is planning to fail. You can be just starting out. Maybe you just found about high ticket closing for the very first time today watching this video. You need to plan out, okay, what is it gonna look like when I first start closing? What is it gonna look like after I make my first sale, my first $5,000 commission check, my first $20,000 commission check? What happens next, okay? So let's get into it. The thing is, once you're connected to your dream high ticket offer, you wanna reduce the ramp up as much as possible to start bringing in the big bucks. Okay, in the following slides, I'm going to explain the exact steps that we take our closers through so that we can get them up to KPI in less than 1 month. All right, so what that means, KPI, key performance indicators, right? For example, there might be a KPI of a standard of a 20% close rate. This is what we want to see. This is kind of the minimum standard. Anything below that, something's off, we need to make an adjustment. All right, so what we want to do is run them through a certain set of steps so that we can go through some of those initial learning curves early, get through them quick, so that we can get our closers up to standard of all of the other guys on the team who have been there for the past 6 months or few years or whatever. Also, I'm going to be explaining how we help them increase their commissions by closing more while working less. In the beginning, really quickly, I just want you to understand, just to be clear about this point I just made, early on, I want you to work more. Like early on, when you don't have the skill set, you're gonna make up for it with input, right? But as you grow and as you get better and better, there are certain downfalls to working 12 hours a day, right? You gotta cut that back and you gotta be more efficient with your time. So we'll get into that in just a second. These steps I'm about to run you through, these are the exact same steps that Arian followed at 20 years old to close 6 figures his second month selling on a brand new real estate offer. All right, there's a screenshot of him doing a $40,000 deal, an $11,000 deal. That was within like 48 hours. Really awesome to see Arian do that. Also, this is how Zach tripled his commissions, closing at a 52% rate, okay, which is way higher than the standard. This is way more than a lot of closers do after years of experience within just 3 months of starting in this industry for the first time. Okay, there's three main areas, three main things that you can improve for you to be able to increase your commissions as fast as possible. All right, your mindset, your personal development, and then obviously your sales ability. First of all, mindset. Let's get into it. Goal setting. All right, one of the first things you want to do, and something you're going to be doing throughout your sales career, is getting really good at setting goals. A lot of people just set random goals. They don't think about their process. So here's a process that I follow, and here's a process that I have my closers follow. Set your big goal, whether it's a goal for the month, a goal for the year. Set it. Make sure it follows the 2 A's. It's ambitious, but it's also attainable. All right. Don't set yourself a low ball goal that you know for a fact you'll achieve, but don't set a goal that you know you will probably never achieve. Right. It should be right there in the middle. Should scare you a little bit, but it also should be within reality. Now, break down your goal, whether it's by month, week, or by day, or all of them. All right. Now, once you've taken, let's say your monthly goal, right? Let's say your goal on your first month selling on an offer is, hey, I'm selling a $5,000 offer. I want to sell 50 grand my first month in sales. Cool, right? I'd say that's an ambitious goal for your first month on the phones with no experience. And I'd also say that it's pretty attainable. Now let's break that down, right? If you work, what's that? Let's say you work 5 days a week, $50,000 divided by, if there's 4, call it 21. Okay, so we're going to take that $50,000 goal and we're going to divide it down by the amount of weekdays that are in a month. There's 21. Okay, so 50,000 divided by 21. So that means that you need to be closing at least 2.4K every single day that you work, right? So like a $5,000 offer, you need to close one deal every other day. Cool. How many book calls are you getting? All right, let's say in the beginning you're getting 5 book calls a day, and you get a list of 50 spreadsheet leads, opt-ins, people who bought a course, something, who expressed interest. You can dial those daily as well, right? Let's say early on, you want to close at least, call it 1 out of 20. It's not all going to be paid in full. Some are going to be payment plans. What are the actions that you can take for you to be able to make sure that you close 1 in 20? All right, every day you wake up high energy, high enthusiasm. Maybe you don't have the skill set yet, but what you do have control over is your mindset, is your energy every single day, right? Maybe you establish, okay, you know what? I'm stepping into a new version of myself. I'm stepping into a new chapter of my career. The actionable step that I'm going to do to hit my goal of 50 grand my first month is I'm going to start a new gym routine. I'm going to hit the gym 5 days a week and I'm going to meditate every morning. Cool. Right? If that helps you on your sales calls, great. That's going to be one of your actionable steps. Right? Maybe it's take 5 minutes before every call just to ground yourself and really set your intentions for the sales call. Maybe it's on your 50 dials that you do from the spreadsheet. Maybe it's to do a lot of follow-up and you double dial all of them. You make sure you do your 100 dials a day. So now your goal was $50,000. It scared you a little bit, right? But now that you've set this up where it's like, okay, cool, I'm going to implement the gym routine. I'm going to set my intentions before every single sales call that I take so that I can show up at my highest self, my highest frequency version of me. And not only that, I'm going to do 100 dials every day where I get 2 touch points on each lead, and I'm going to send all of them a text. I find it unreasonable that if you're doing all of that you won't be able to close 1 deal every 2 days. You're going to do this throughout your career. Now, inputs versus outputs. Early on, 100% focus on the inputs. All right, don't focus too much on the outputs. Focus on the daily actions. Are you doing what you're saying you're going to do? Are you doing your dials every day? Are you doing your follow-up? Are you texting your leads the night before? Right? Are you double confirming with them the day of? Right? Are you showing up to every call with the right mindset, with the right mentality, with the right energy? Easier said than done. There's 2 types of input. All right, there's volume. There's how many calls do you actually take? And then there's energy, right? Getting on a call, talking to 20 people a day and really giving your all to each and every person, that's hard. That takes a lot of energy. That burns serious calories, by the way. Ask yourself, how high are your inputs in both of those areas? All right, and make sure you max it out, especially early on. All right, now with more experience, you're gonna have a lot more control over the output, right? You're gonna realize the different things that you do on sales calls that allow you to close more deals, that increase your likelihood of closing. And you're gonna be able to almost project and predict how many sales you can make or what your close rate will be or how you can push yourself. You have a lot more control over the pieces on the chessboard is the way I kind of see it. So at this point, with more experience, maybe you're 3 to 6 months in, or longer. Now you're tracking your close rate and you're tracking your total sales. And every single month you're asking yourself, okay, how can I improve this a little bit? How can I, if I closed 80 grand this month, how can I get up to 95 next? Okay, if my close rate is at a 50% right now, how can I get it to a 55? Right? What are the little tweaks and changes that I can make every month that will add up so that over the course of the year, I can triple, quadruple, quintuple my close rate and my income? All right, highs and lows. Listen, we're in commission sales. We're here to make a lot of money. There's a lot of people out there who will settle for a salary job, who are cool, making 80 grand a year after tax, taking home what? I don't even know what that is. 3K, 4K, 5K a month, who knows? There's a lot of people who are cool with that. It's just consistent and it's the same thing all the time. You're still watching this video because you want that exciting life. You want that high commissions, all right? With the highs come the lows, all right? You want to be able to extend the peaks as much as possible and you want to shorten the valleys. There's always going to be valleys, accept that. It's totally cool. It's going to be down months, it's going to be down days. That's fine, right? What you want to do is two things. One is really have a day-to-day mindset where it's every day clean slate. Whether you had an all-time day in sales or if you had the worst day of your life yesterday, today is a new day. Clean slate, fresh, okay? And you can even do this call to call, right? This is something you got to train, by the way, but it's going to be a really valuable mindset for you to be able to extend your peaks and shorten your valleys. Now, when it comes to doing that, understand what's similar between the weeks or the months when you're crushing it and what's similar to the weeks and months when you're not. An exercise I used to do with Arian, one of the guys you saw earlier in the video, is I remember because he's young, he's still kind of stepping into the game and still finding himself as a closer, finding himself in his career, but he's sharp. Like he has massive potential and he'll pop off for massive months, but then he might have 1 month where it's just a completely different side to him. And you can just see this energy changes, right? And something I used to do with him is we would compare call recordings to when he was crushing it to when he wasn't. And it's like every time we would do that, it would just be so clear. But because when you're stuck in a valley and you're just, bad day after bad day, you don't really know what to improve. Like you feel kind of helpless. But when you listen to, like you go back in time and you listen to a call when you were super confident, high energy, high frequency, detached from the sale, now you can kind of tap back into that, you can tap into the things that were working for you, and you can also recognize the things that are holding you back, whether it's a tonality, it's a question that you're asking on your calls, it's a way that you're presenting your program, it's the confidence or the lack of confidence, right? It's really easy to see the differences when you just listen to the call recordings. Sales ability, all right? This is the juicy stuff. This is how you're going to increase your commissions. This is how you're going to continue doubling down on your skill set, so that you don't settle and you don't stick around making the same amount of money every month, but you can actually increase and grow how much money you make every month. Remember, your income is uncapped. All right, the only thing stopping you from making fuck you money is your ability to master one single conversation. Imagine that. That's it. You get to have this same conversation over and over and over again. You get to role play this conversation as many times as you could possibly want. Your prospect only gets to have it once. Okay, there's only 2 reasons why you wouldn't master this conversation. Either one, like you just don't know how, which is most people, and it was me for a long time, or 2, you're just lazy, all right? And if you're lazy, just bounce. Just leave this video right now. Okay, I'm gonna tell you exactly how. So after the next few slides, the only excuse that you have for not mastering this thing is that you're lazy. First, shadowing, okay? This is how I learned sales in the beginning. I didn't have formal sales training. I would listen to Dylan do calls. I would listen to other guys in the office do calls. I would hear what they're saying and I would replicate it. I would replicate their tonality, their confidence that I heard, questions that they're asking. So I'd say this is probably the fastest way to learn sales, at least for me personally and for most of our guys. This is their learning style. You want to replicate what's working for other people. Live, I think, is the best, but if you can't do it live, like even for my team, like we have a full vault of call recordings that we share with them of big deals, different industries, different types of prospects, so they can just go back and tap into a win that happened in the past, right? Or even something I do a lot with some of my remote teams is I'll jump on a Zoom with them where either I'll take a call live and they'll just listen to me do it, or I'll listen to them take a call live, and sometimes I'll just type like questions that they can ask and things that they should do. Or even like if you're on a sales team and you got another guy who's remote, like ask him, hey man, is it cool if I listen in on one of your calls today? Jump on a Zoom with him, get his recording, right? Work together. Sales is a team thing. Okay, this is actually, so these three in this picture with me, Ben, Dimitri, and Ramsey, these three closers have been with us for a very long time. They've been with us since the beginning. And the main training that we did with them was all live in-person shadowing. And these three, all three of them closed over $1 million in sales their first year on the phones. All right. Now, the daily sales tracker template. This is really cool. So you're going to take 5 minutes of your day every day to fill out this template. And what it's going to do is basically allow you to pinpoint the exact areas for you to get better for your next sales day. And when you do this over time, you can literally force your close rate to go up. It's crazy. All right. I'm going to share the PDF with you down below. And I also have a video that explains how to use this thing. Long story short, you're going to start out the day writing down a couple notes, right? Hey, I'm going to, well, first off, you're going to write down date. You're going to write down your goal for the day. I want to close $15,000 in sales. Cool. How many calls do you have booked? I have 12 calls booked. Great. Notes for the day. I'm going to make sure that I come in really high energy. I'm going to make sure that I lead with value. I put my prospect first, right? Just different thoughts and different mindsets to tap into. You can put anything here. This is a personal sheet for you. After that, okay, once you put your notes for the day at the start of your sales day, you're going to hit the phones, right? Every single lead that you speak to, you're going to write down your name right there in that middle column, and then notes what happened on the call, right? Close this guy, great rapport, shared a story with him, and we really connected. All right, this guy lost the sale, wanted to talk to the wife, seemed pretty defensive, trust wasn't really there. Had a prospect who had taken a lot of other calls, kind of skeptical, scheduled a follow-up for next week, right? Things like that. You're gonna note all of that down, and what happens is if you don't do that, you're gonna forget all of this information and you're not gonna be able to learn from it. Like if you lose a sale, right? If you fuck up on a sales call, it happens and it doesn't go the way that you want it to go. If you don't reflect on that call, like you've gained nothing from it. But if you lose one sale, you could lose a $100,000 deal. Maybe that's a $8,000 commission. You fucked it up. You made a huge mistake. You lost the 8K. But you learned a lesson that you'll never forget. Big picture, you're gonna make back way more than $8,000 by learning that lesson. If you don't do this, you're not gonna learn anything, okay? So you're gonna note down what happened on every single call. At the end of the day, you write down your stats and your KPIs. What was your show-up rate, close rate, EPL, earnings per lead, right? Which is basically total sales divided by how many leads you spoke to, and maybe some deals in the pipeline. EOD positives, built great trust, told a really cool story about how I stepped into this game for the first time that really resonated with somebody, had high energy, overall was in a great mood today. Awesome. EOD adjustments. Didn't recognize that the one prospect who was skeptical, I didn't recognize that early enough. If I did, I could have prevented it with a client win. Tomorrow, I'm gonna make sure that I share client wins whenever I talk to someone who's skeptical. Cool, you just learned the lesson. You just made money on that lost sale, right? Someone who lacked trust, they didn't have a rapport with you, right? Focus on getting vulnerable first. That's something you could do to build deeper rapport with someone. Maybe you think, okay, hey, if I opened up first, if I shared a little bit about me and I got vulnerable, I think that would have allowed my prospect in that situation, that sale that I lost, I think that would have allowed him to open up himself. We could have had a deeper conversation. I would have been able to get his real objection and I would have been able to close, right? So you write down, keep it simple. I'm overcomplicating it just because I've been in this game for a little while and this is how my brain works, but just keep it simple. EOD adjustments, tell more stories, tell more client wins, relate earlier, get vulnerable. Something like that. Tomorrow you're gonna do it, and then any sales that you lost today, you're gonna make sure that tomorrow you actually close them. Okay, comparing W's to L's, lots of ups and downs. Experience is gonna equal a better understanding of the difference between hot and cold streaks. Usually slight differences are in tonality or confidence. Comparing recordings are gonna make this very clear to you. Okay, so make sure this is a part of your daily routine or weekly routine. Now, something that you're working towards is I always say this, there's a point in everyone's sales career where the version of yourself that's on a sales call is the same version of yourself that would be out at dinner with friends, right? Like you do have to work towards this, but you want to get to a place where you are the same person on your sales calls as you are in real life. Okay, the ultimate confidence, right? We want to be confident on our sales calls. The ultimate confidence is having fun, cracking jokes, laughing. Okay, so to do this, you got to detach from the sale completely. I don't care whether this deal closes. I don't care if it doesn't close. I'm just here to help my prospect and give them value. Okay, 100% focus on the prospect. Trusting your training, not thinking about your script, putting them first, and then that's going to allow you to close more. Okay. Now, I could not make a video about sales and about increasing your commissions if I didn't talk about personal development. I think this was the biggest transition that I had. People buy you, right? Again, back to sales principles. People buy who you are. If you want to make a shit ton of money, turn into the best version of yourself. Okay, your sales journey is going to be a personal development journey. This was the turning point in my sales career when I got serious about my daily habits, when I got serious about my fitness, okay, when I cut out a lot of the bullshit that was holding me back. In this picture on the left, I was probably earning maybe 8, 9, 10 grand a month. In the picture on the right, I was clearing 20 grand on a bad month, right? What's the difference here? It's pretty clear to see, right? How did I do this? Step number one, easiest thing you can do, okay? If you want to be a high-performing closer, you want to make a shit ton of money, subtract all the bullshit. This is probably the easiest step that you can take that's going to have the biggest ROI. Drugs, alcohol, we both know that they're holding you back. Cut out all of it, okay? Negative relationships, people who are holding you back, right? Your aunt that keeps telling you you're going to be a failure. Stop talking to her, right? Your friend that's broke, busted, and disgusted that you go to the basketball court with 3 times a week. Maybe you should stop hanging out with them less. You know, it's unfortunate, but this is the reality. You want this life, you got to cut some people off. Bad food, porn, mindless scrolling, okay, all this dopamine, it's just going to hold you back. All right, cut it out, super easy. Do that and stick to it. 2, you're going to add in what I call the top closer routine. This stuff, so simple, so easy, it's going to set you apart from 99% of people. Set a time to wake up every day. Wake up at that time daily, no matter what. Okay, add in some meditation. Take 5 minutes a day where you just sit in your thoughts, in solitude, and just try to clear it, right? You don't even have to clear it, but just take a second, right? Meditate. Fitness every day before work. 30 minutes, 5, 6 days a week, easy, not hard to do. 15 minutes of reading every day, right? You can't pour into your prospects with an empty cup. You got to be learning something. You got to be consuming good information. The majority of people, all the information they consume is just through Instagram, right? Crack open a book. And also just drink a lot of water, right? Water makes your brain operate at a high performing level, okay? It's kind of like gas. It's kind of like fuel for your brain. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Something I used to always ask myself as I was implementing a lot of this stuff, and it really worked for me, hopefully it'll work for you. Like when I made a decision to cut out weed, like I was smoking weed daily for 4 or 5 years, right? I asked myself one day, how do I expect to buy my mom a house if I can't figure out how to stop smoking weed, right? How are you gonna make $1 million if you can't figure out how to stop sucking on a fucking plastic cube with Chinese chemicals? How are you gonna, hit 100 grand a month in sales if you don't wake up at the same time every day? How are you going to achieve all of these difficult things in life if you can't do the little things every day, right? I would just ask myself that and I'm like, shit, I've got a point, and then I would implement it. Do this stuff for 30 days. Everything that I just said, just add it into your routine. 30 days, massive increase in energy, okay? Massive increase in focus because you're going to rewire the way your dopamine centers work, okay? Increase in discipline. You're going to have an increased confidence because you've actually told yourself you're going to do something and you've done it. Okay, that's major. You want to be confident on your sales calls. I used to have problems with that. I used to have insecurities, things like that were holding me back. The moment that I just told myself, hey, I'm going to do this, and my word is bond. I'm not going to back out of it, right? I'm not going to miss. The moment I started doing that, my confidence went way up. You make that part of your routine, you do that for years, you're going to be more confident than anybody. All right, and most importantly, after 30 days, you're going to see your commissions go up. Now, stage 4, winning the long game, okay? My guy, Alex Hermosi, I've been watching his content for a long time. He's been a huge inspiration. I resonate with a lot of what he says. Something that he talks about a lot is people overestimate what they can do in 1 month and they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Okay, take a second right now, zoom out. all right? People get so caught up in making their first 10 grand in a month or quitting their job or being able to travel and, work remote. Once you've accomplished these things, what happens after that? The thing is, after 1 to 3 years of full and complete commitment to this craft, I find it highly unlikely that you don't have a high level sales ability, you're not making at least 8 to 30 grand a month, you don't have an in-depth knowledge of a business doing millions a year or an in-depth knowledge of your market. Okay, once you have all of these things, picture yourself after you've accomplished it and ask yourself the following. Are you unsatisfied earning 100, 200 grand a year? Do you want to take on bigger responsibilities and more stress, or do you just want to stay where you're at? And honest question, because you can go either way with this, right? Are you entrepreneurial? Are you curious about how you can actually take the most valuable skill set on the face of the earth, which is getting other people to give you their money? Are you curious about what other higher leverage opportunities exist when you have those skills? I know I was. In the following slides, I'm going to be explaining the next level of opportunity once you've mastered your role as a high ticket closer and how you can actually make this reality. Okay, so a couple options. First of all, sales management. There's intrapreneurship and then entrepreneurship. So let's get into it. Sales management. This one's pretty simple. Most people understand this. Once you've crushed it as a closer, you'll get the opportunity to lead your team. Hiring, onboarding, training, looking at numbers, looking at KPIs, seeing where the areas of growth are, making adjustments. You're going to be responsible for your overall sales team performance. So if the entire team is crushing it, great, you get a pat on the back. If the entire team is not crushing it, it's your fault, right? So you got to ask yourself, is that something that you want? But earning potential is pretty cool. Usually between 1 to 5% of total sales. The math is if you have 10 closers doing 500 grand a month as a team on a 2.5% management commission, that's 12,500 a month extra, usually doing about 5 to 10 hours a week of work. This is how Dimitri and Ramsey earn an additional 5 to 10 grand a month, give or take, doing just about 5 hours a week of management, right? Training and working with other sales guys and just using all the experience that they already have, right? Now, intrapreneurship. I think this is really cool. So this is the innovator role, all right? You're typically on a performance pay structure, taking no risk, right? So you have entrepreneurial tendencies, but you're not putting up the money, right? So these roles, these are typically awarded to A players who contribute significantly to the overall success of the business, all right? So think, outside of just being a closer, when it comes to fulfillment, right? Maybe you're doing coaching or, you're doing fulfillment on the back end with what you're actually selling, right? Maybe you're marketing, you start a personal brand, or, you're doing some kind of client acquisition, you're bringing in more leads, you're leading the team, right? You're taking on more of a leadership role. Things like that, right? So what's cool about entrepreneurship is it's not, paid out on a commission, but this is more along the lines of equity or profit share, right? So this will be different between any business that you work with, but this is super common in a lot of other sales jobs, right? And definitely very common when it comes to these high ticket businesses, right? And I think this is something that you should work towards one day. One thing is, you want to know when you're ready for it. A lot of people, they'll ask for this too soon and they're kind of entitled. Ask yourself completely objectively, are you replaceable? Okay, can someone slide in? Can someone else, get hired and do exactly what you do right now with the business not taking a hit? If you're not replaceable, you're ready to be an entrepreneur. All right, this is either going to be offered to you or you should ask for it. You should talk to the business owner, your CEO or your manager or whoever, and bring it up in conversation, right? See if it's a possibility. And if not right now, ask, hey, what are the actions that I can take for a role like this in the future? This is exactly what Rome, Amon, and I did. We spent years closing deals in the trenches. We, were managers. We took on a lot of extra responsibilities when it comes to leading and adding value to the business, asking for nothing in return. And because of that, we've been awarded these roles, right? So think about if this is something that you want to do. Now, I think what's next is entrepreneurship, right? So something that Tai Lopez says is 70% of billionaires started in direct sales, right? What you're doing here is after you spent years closing, you spent years on the phones, dealing with prospects, learning all about the business, now you can take those extremely high level skill sets that you've developed, you can go apply it to your own business, right? You could start like something in sales and marketing. You could have some kind of like your own online offer you could start. You can do consulting or honestly any other industry. The thing is you're going to have a massive advantage on anyone who starts from scratch. Everybody, it's so funny to me how someone who's like broke and has $0 in the bank will be like, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to be a business owner. It's like, okay, if you had the character traits and the skill sets to go be an entrepreneur, you probably wouldn't have $0 in the bank, right? Okay, so what are you going to do next? You're going to go develop the skill sets and the character traits. You have two ways of doing that. You could either fall on your face and build a business and be broke for 3 years before you learn all of it, or you could get into sales, learn those exact same skill sets, get paid a lot of money while you do it, and then become an entrepreneur, right? I think that's the way to do it, and I've seen a lot of people in my circle do that. Like I said, you have a massive advantage on anybody, all right? Because of the practical skill sets you have, because of your mindset, because of your endurance, and because you actually have money in the bank now. You have the ability to build your own business. Listen, I don't care where you start, anybody can get here. Your competition, like the people out there, the people your age, people coming up right now in business and in sales, they're addicted to cheap dopamine. They're just floating through life, not doing much. It's very easy to get ahead if you take the daily actions to separate yourself from the pack. If you commit to the following from day one, you will beat 99% of people. A long time ago, I made a commitment that I was going to do this when I was broke, busted, and disgusted. And honestly, I had no reason to believe that I was going to be able to do it. I just had this delusional self-belief, and here I am today. So committing to excellence, okay? It doesn't matter if you're an idiot. It doesn't matter if you have no social skills. It doesn't matter if you're ugly, if you're fat, whatever. Make a commitment. I'm going to do a little bit more than the people around me every single day, right? When it comes to anything, I'm going to do a little bit more than them, and I'm just going to do that every single day. Over time, that is going to compound insanely. You have no idea. All right, become obsessed with growth in all aspects, in sales, in personal life, in fitness, in health, relationships, spiritually. Become obsessed with growth in everything. Grow a little bit every single day, and most importantly, have patience. Don't expect all of it to come to you right away. Commit to the growth, commit to the actions, and just trust that over time it will come. Expanding your network. Connect with others ahead of you and people who are aligned with your mission, okay? What this is gonna do is it's gonna raise your standards, it's gonna motivate you to go way harder than you already are, and it's gonna cut the learning curve because you can learn lessons from people who've already walked the path that you wanna walk, all right? Whether that's, going out to mastermind events or business conferences, or if you know people in your circle and just hanging out with them more. All right, this is gonna be insane for you. Like if you're in a tough spot right now and you wanna level up, like try to go hang out with people who are a few steps ahead of you, and that's just gonna force you to make the same change. And finally, manage your personal finance. I think this needs to be talked about, especially if we're talking about making a lot of money. Max out the difference between what comes in and what goes out. All right, if you're making 20 grand a month, cool. Don't go sign a lease for a penthouse and a new BMW right away. Take a year and just stack cash. All right, delayed gratification. Okay, don't feel like you need to get all this stuff right away. Take that money, set it aside, invest it, put it away, and most importantly, set up your corporate entity. I think the cool thing with high ticket sales is if you get the right advice, you can set yourself up as a business owner, get paid in a corporate setting. You can do this in a couple different ways, but pay your taxes, follow the law, play it by the book, but know how you can take advantage of different loopholes. I always used to think, like, before I started making a lot of money, I'm like, okay, I need a system that I can flow a lot of money through. And I'm looking at everything I'm doing, and I'm like, if I got, $100,000 cash right now, like, I would have no idea what to do with it. It would be messy, it'd be disorganized. Let me make sure I set this stuff up now so that when I do start making that kind of money, it'll be good. And what's funny is I almost attracted it, but talk to someone who knows what they're doing with taxes, set up your corporate structure, set up how you pay your taxes, make sure you play it by the book, but know the advantages that you have. So in conclusion, in a world where everyone's looking for a quick fix, they're looking for the next ChatGPT affiliate marketing, a little gimmick that they can use to make money, everything that I've explained up until this point, I really wanted to lay out the exact steps that you could take that would guarantee it that no matter where you come from, you'll be able to create the life of your dreams through high ticket sales. Now it's on you to go execute. Okay, now quick recap and your next steps. 4 big steps that you need to take to build the life that you want in this industry. All right, step 1, sales training. Take it seriously. That's probably your first step when you get off this video. All right, learning about sales, learning the 10-step framework or another framework, learning how to objection handle, learning the principles and big concepts that you want to understand. 2 is landing that closing job. All right, hustling out on a placement or looking for a program that suits your needs and what you're looking for. Excelling in your role, doubling down on your growth in all aspects, including sales, and finally thinking about the long game. Put some thought into that now. Do you want to be an entrepreneur one day? Do you want to take on additional roles and additional responsibility to potentially have more fulfillment, have more impact, and make more money? Or are you the type where it's like, hey, I just want to close deals, travel, take a few calls a day, make good money, and not worry about anything else? I felt that once I started earning serious cash, my problems would be solved. And some of them were, but I never thought it would take it this far. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions by the age of 22. I've leveled up as a person in all aspects. And with so many people in this space, with so little track record, I really feel like it's my responsibility to put everything I know online and onto this YouTube channel so that you guys can take this information. You can reverse engineer it, what's worked for myself and also the clients that I've worked with, and actually replicate it to see hopefully better results than I did in a fraction of the time. If you've made it to this point, it's very clear to me that you're not fucking around. Now that you understand exactly how this process works, I have an offer for you. If you're an ambitious individual looking for a way to earn 5 to 20 grand a month working remotely, and you're actually ready to grind and embrace a new skill set, or already working in sales in another industry, and you feel like you're held back by your lead quality or your commission structure, or even if you've been looking into the space as an outsider, maybe not a lot of sales experience, but you've been struggling to find a quality closing job and you're alone without a network of experienced people to support you on your journey, and you're wanting to become a remote high-ticket closer for a multi-7-figure offer, not spending any money on leads or doing any cold calling while also being able to earn 100 grand or more on your own schedule, my team and I can walk you through every single step that I've explained in this video. What we'll do is we'll train you on your sales ability so we can get you up to KPI standard of some of the highest quality online offers. We'll use our reputation to help you source an offer with 5 to 10 inbound leads a day, selling a program worth 3 to 25 grand or more. And what we'll do is we'll continue to work with you and continue to pour into you so that you can grow an actual long-term career. All right, that way you can achieve similar results to the closers that you've seen throughout this video, getting you there in a fraction of the time without the stress, the trial and error and headache it would take for you to do this on your own. In fact, I'm so confident that we can deliver these results for you. We will work with you indefinitely until you two become an awesome case study like one of these screenshots. And if you want to start earning commissions like our closers are earning with the same level of training and quality of job placement, hit the Calendly link below in the description, schedule a time that works best for you, and you and I will come up with a custom game plan that suits your needs so that you can crush high ticket sales this year. All right, hopefully it's the right fit. As long as it is, we can talk more about actually working together. Looking forward to chatting soon. Take care.